Come here, I'm gonna eat you! I'm bigger than you, I'm higher in the food chain! Get in my belly! Come on!
RACE22 Radio is co-hosted by Performance Center Racing Warehouse President, Mr. Roger Johnson.
Just keep your foot on the gas and drive right by him on the outside.
You told me nobody goes to the outside on turn 4.
If you go to the outside, you can hold it.
With special co-host, Crazy Hickory Latham. Sit back, buckle in, and hold on tight. RACE22 Radio is coming right at you at full throttle. And now your host, Mr. Langley Austin.
Guys, and welcome to RACE22 Radio, live here from the Performance Center Racing Warehouse in Statesville, North Carolina. Another beautiful weekend of racing this past weekend. Well, you two guys, y'all wouldn't know anything about that. My co-host here,
I watched the whole thing.
Roger Johnson and Corey Latham. Oh yeah, I forgot. You know they got pay-per-view for those guys who never go to the racetrack. I got you. We ain't got your microphone on quite yet, Derek.
Every time.
Tony Stevens did a really good job. I only wanted to strengthen him twice. Did the whole broadcast. He did really good. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Being there at the track, my ears were bleeding the whole time.
Were they?
Yeah, the whole time.
You'll have that.
So
that happens.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's
What did
good.
you think of the race?
I thought they were okay races and really good finishes, really, to both of them. The last 25 laps or so of the Super Late Model race was really good. The last 10 laps of the late model stock race was really good. Brandon Pierce sure did make things exciting.
Yeah, did a good job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, watching it on TV, you know, it's a little bit different. There was good racing throughout the whole field. I know, you know, when we go to the track, we only see one turn.
Right.
So
I was in the tower, and I didn't think there was a whole. I mean, there was stuff going on, but it was just nothing of any, importance. You know what I mean?
I got you.
I mean, when Justin Carroll got dumped by Tyler Matthews, I mean that was exciting. I don't know exactly what happened between the two of them. Looked like Justin tried to squeeze in, and looked like
he wasn't having
Tyler wasn't having none of that.
That's pretty much what it looked like to me.
Really good race though. That super late model race was everything it was cracked up to be. Bubba definitely didn't have the best car. He just had the will to win and did it.
That's it.
Yeah, Mason Diaz drove.
That's what he does all the time.
For sure. Yeah.
That's what he does all the time, though.
Mason was absolutely up on the wheel. Drove up through there and passed everybody. Really cleanly, which is hard to do at Southern National because it's a one groove racetrack.
Yeah.
Obviously Brandon Pierce he didn't worry about just passing anybody without using a little chrome horn.
Yeah, but he did it right.
He did
it right. I respect him for this.
He didn't wreck anybody.
Right. I respect him.
Yeah. I have to give it to Josh Berry because a lot of other drivers wouldn't have saved that.
Oh, for sure. That was a big hit right there, for sure.
Yeah. But he knew it was coming, right? Josh is a good enough driver that he knew it was coming. He knew what was happening. Kevin Piercy in the house.
Yeah, we got the legend from Hickory Motor Speedway over here.
Down with his Burger King. He's ready to dig.
He's ready. He's going to get him something to eat while we're over here running our mouths.
Might as well.
I don't blame him. He's got to fuel up for this grilling we're about to give him.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, the roast of Kevin.
Bring on and he left. Kevin's no longer here. He left.
He didn't know what kind of party this was going to be. So, man, just a great weekend, at Southern National, man. It was good to be, back at Southern National. I've only been twice.
The crowd was really good, too.
Absolutely. The crowd was fantastic.
Especially for the weather they had.
Trackside, well, I mean, not just for the weather. The trackside parking was probably 65% full, which is a great indicator there.
Yeah.
The stands may be completely empty on some weeks, and the trackside parking's full. And the suites, I believe, they were, pretty full. I know they had to get more wristbands than they anticipated for that. So they did really good there. I think overall for them, paying out the big money that they did, I think it paid off for them. I think they got all that money back.
I would say they did all right.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a great day, man. It's just great to be back down there at Southern National. I don't make it there much. I promoted there in 2015, and I've been there twice since. So.
I tried to make it there.
I wish the middle of the race would have been a little bit better.
I'd like to thank my sponsor, Champion Automotive out of Greensboro, North Carolina, Troy and Angel and Bobby McCarty. Without them, I would not ever leave my house, I don't think. I have $13,000 in a $1,200 car.
Wow.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
$55,000 racing with RACE22 and
50,
13 and
50,000.
Man,
Yep.
He's deep, man. I'm telling you.
You
When
go.
you got that deep of pockets right there, you doing something. So.
Yeah. Somebody's going to hit somebody here soon. Right? Like, I think sooner or later, he's giving you the look like I will kill you twice, and he's walked it off. Somebody's dying.
We just need a Friday night show.
Right.
That's all we need.
Brass knuckles coming out.
I don't think we need a Friday night show.
Were you a little disappointed with the? I know you and I talked a little bit. A little disappointed with the race up until like 2 to go.
No, not necessarily. I just it was just typical Southern National, man.
Yeah.
I really like Southern National, but it has become a very one groove.
It has, and you talked about it a lot. But I saw more racing than I thought I would see.
But if you got side by side with somebody, you were going
done.
backwards.
Yeah, you were
I mean,
done.
there
That was
was
it.
nobody
Right.
who stayed on the outside and
couldn't.
managed to race. Now, when we go to Hickory, next weekend or this weekend for their opener, when the car store goes there in 2 weeks, I'm gonna tell you what, you'll be see plenty of passing and plenty of guys side by
we
side.
know
You
too,
don't see that at Southern.
and we know from Josh Berry being on this show, giving Kevin, if they can keep the top groove cleaned
Right.
off,
Right.
that we'll have some good racing up there, and maybe some
Absolutely.
2 wide craziness,
Absolutely.
and
And
some 3 wide craziness.
I suspect there'll be quite a few car store guys this weekend. Getting ready for next weekend's
sure.
race. I think the weather worked out for Kevin. So
Yeah.
I think
Probably the wind.
perfect storm getting rained out. Sometimes it works like that. Same thing for Caraway.
Caraway, it works.
Oh, yeah.
It's so many years that has happened there.
Yeah.
That is, and we'll see how many of the tour guys stop up, on their way back up north.
Right? Yeah, they race next or this Sunday. So
And the tour races at Myrtle Beach that Saturday afternoon.
Yep, Myrtle Beach. They ought to have a good event down there for sure. I seen an entry list. I didn't look to see how many it was. I just seen it was pretty long. So looks good for the NASCAR Wheeling
Shouldn't surprise
modified
you.
tour.
I mean, they work hard
doesn't
at it,
surprise
man.
me.
They
But
work hard at it.
coming out all that way, you know what I mean. You just never know how many they're going to lose. Having to come all the way down to Myrtle
But I
Beach.
think he's got a relationship with a lot of them guys, doesn't he? I mean, he's on the phone with a lot of them guys, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't live on his phone, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but I thought he's part of that. That's from up there. You're talking about Myrtle Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yes.
mean, he's
Yeah,
from
yeah,
up
yeah.
north. That's where. You're both looking at me like I'm retarded. What do you mean?
Well,
I didn't know who you were talking about. I was
He's
just looking at
from-
you like,
it's-
tell
we're
me
talking
more
about-
to the
Listen,
story, dude.
Myrtle
Listen,
Beach
it's
getting
not
a
just
bunch
a
of
look,
people.
buddy. It's not just a look. Okay?
Unbelievable. Catch up. Get a glove on. We started this like 12 minutes ago.
I mean, no, we didn't start 12 minutes
9.
ago, but
That's because he had the stuff plugged in
I
backwards.
think, yeah, I messed up at the beginning of the show there. So, I'm blaming Doc over here trying to get him to figure out what's going on. And
Total professional.
I had hit
That's right.
mute to make sure I didn't have anything going across earlier, but it happens sometimes.
Things go down. It's
you
only just begun.
It's Race 22 radio, man. You can expect anything, okay?
And you're likely to get it.
Even no sound when I'm using it. So, I mean, it's just the way it goes. So, man, but definitely a good weekend at Southern National. Congratulations, of course, to Brandon Pierce, and what a way to win your first race coming out of the box. First race with Lee Pulliam Performance, and just coming out there like that was really impressive for sure.
I haven't seen Lee that happy in a while, even winning races.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Good for him, though,
I
huh?
think, and I think that was a big thing for him. You know what I
Man,
mean?
he's bared down hard, though. I mean, he's kind of put some of his stuff. What did you think about what I saw? He's going to race full season now after that.
Is he running the full season in
I
South
don't
Austin? I seen
know.
that one post, but I don't think that's what that said. I don't know.
Yeah,
He told
I
me
could've
last year,
clickbaited it.
that's kind of the thing. He was putting so much emphasis on his race and then trying to do the same thing. You can't put
Right.
You can't put all your emphasis in, in the right place, and he was going to try to spend a little more working on his cars.
Right, for sure. I'm trying to get the comments open over here, so soon as I figure out how to use this computer, I'll be able to see the comments.
Mason Dunn,
from other
and
people.
Mason Dunn.
No, I don't think he's chimed in yet. Somebody said he had a job or something, so.
Wow.
Mike Diaz, of course, chiming in, saying that Supers use the second groove more than the late model stocks. They'd use it even more, Mike, if you'd put some VHT or something down. So just saying. I mean, we can make some stuff happen. I mean, Kevin Piercy sitting over here like, man, these guys are really going to give me hell later. I mean, he don't know what to expect. So a lot of guys coming in, chiming in here on the message board or whatever the heck you call this thing on Facebook. Let's go and take a check of the news here so we can get the roundup from this past weekend.
Howdy ho, folks. Looks like they did name that race that replaced the Denny Hamlin race that was canceled a couple weeks ago. It's now the Visit Hampton, Virginia Grassroots 200. I think everybody's going to start calling it the Grassroots 200 race. $7,500 to win, which is more than regular, but not as much as the Hampton Heat. Hampton Heat is $10,000 to win, $500 to start. I searched all over the website for an entry for that so I could see what it took to start that race, because I know a lot of racers, if they want to go that far, they want to know that. Could not find it anywhere on the site. I sent an email, still waiting to hear back from Langley Speedway on that, but it is $7,500 to win. Hey, that ain't bad. That'll draw from out some distance there for sure. It'll be green flag on the 11th, April 11th at 8 p.m. So make plans to be there like we will be there.
We will be there.
All right. Boss says we'll be there, so I got to go.
Mason Dunn says we won't, but we will be there. So.
Well, Mason
Corey
Dunn,
will not.
That's close enough.
Corey will not be there.
Where Mason Dunn ought to be there.
He'll be there.
He better be there.
He's at every race at Langley. You can't get him away from him.
Other news, we talked about this in depth on the show. Reported on RACE22.com, Greenville Pickens Speedway combines limited late models and late models, as we all talked about. That might be some of the greatest thing that needs to be done.
I do think that, and I don't know how this particular move is going to work.
Right.
I talked to Anthony quite extensively after he made this decision last week, and the thing that I think, made this move not a great move was, one, it was after the season started, and two,
right.
They didn't go with one set of rules or the other. They tried to mix them, and I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, since you wrote and spoke with him, talking about mixing the rules. That's kind of going backwards, possibly.
I don't know.
Anthony's in his 5th year there at Greenville Pickens Speedway, so national champion 2014. Hey, he knows the racing game, so hopefully it'll work out. I think some of the guys will take it on to see what's going to happen, and hopefully after a couple of weeks we'll get some good feedback from the racers down there.
Well, I think you'll find out fast.
You got to give him credit for trying it.
Yeah, you got to try something, just like
he
you guys say.
Do something.
You keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, right?
Right. I'm proud that he's doing something.
Absolutely, I'm backing 110%.
Might be wrong, but
as you guys say,
try.
Right.
Gotta gather some information.
Yeah, I just think that he didn't have a choice. When you have 5 late models, you either got to get on the phone and you got to get a lot of guys there, and you're probably not going to win that battle, or you got to do something else.
Yep, I agree. So we wish them all the best, and we'll keep our eyes on that.
We'll ask Kevin Piercy his thoughts on that here shortly.
Yeah, it'll be good.
He might be next. Never know.
Whoa, you heard it here first.
Other stories on race22.com. You can check them out. Great read. Trevor Ward, son of
Dean
Ward, one of my all-time favorites. Yeah,
the legend.
Couldn't even spit his name out there. One of my all-time favorites. You
probably
talked about the
choking
story.
On that Dr. Pepper.
Not yet. Hush.
I'm just saying.
The story was leading into this past weekend's race at Southern National Motorsports Park, but it is talking a lot about his upcoming season, his thoughts and things like that. It's a great read. Third-generation racer, basically.
It's always a great read when I write it.
Oh,
Come
Lord.
on, man.
Just say.
Somebody picked Kim up. She just fell out.
She does all the work. Everybody knows that. Good gosh.
And, of course, the muchly anticipated and talked about the Cars Tour. Muchly, that is my word.
Wow.
110%.
I understood it.
Thank you.
Of course you did, because you're a Bowman Gray redneck.
Thank you, Corey. The Cars Tour 2019 preseason power rankings. Now, pretty good list. Not too shabby for, I guess, a beginner. I don't know how many times you've done this. But
only a couple thousand.
Brandon Pierce listed as a number 6. Langley, really?
Well, he outperformed that this weekend, but we go to Hickory next, and he says out of his mouth he sucks there. So.
I say he's going to outperform it again.
I hope he does. I hope he goes out and wins it.
And, of course, you can read all about the details of the race. Pierce muscles past Barry for the Cars Tour for the victory. Plus, they had super late models, what they call Redneck Jesus over in Georgia and Florida.
Wow.
Yep.
Bubba Pollard holds off Pilter for the Southern National Thriller. Then, of course, you can read about the incident between Pilter and Diaz as well there on race22.com. Top 5 for the super late models at Southern National Motorsports Park. Bubba Pollard, of course, your winner. Preston second. Brandon Setzer did not qualify good. Everybody's worried about him, but, boy, he came on strong late. Same thing with Jared Fryer. Jared started, 19th?
Yeah, deep.
And was right there at the end. And Stephen Nass, where everybody's kind of watching him, and Stephen Wallace. Wallace fell out early. I didn't get to hear on the PA What happened to Wallace? What broke?
He blew up.
Blew up. Just motor.
You should have heard.
I can tell you exactly what he said. But
it was awesome.
Anything he says
awesome.
is not repeatable.
Yeah, it was awesome. What he
it
said.
was great.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
It shot a rod out the bottom of the motor.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but he didn't say it quite that way.
No.
Not that, he wasn't that delicate.
It was awesome.
No.
I liked it. He's good for the sport.
Well, go and jump on the pitroad.tv and check it out. And that way everybody can hear exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Brandon Pierce, of course, the winner of the late model stock car portion of the Solid Rock Carriers 300 presented by SRI Performance at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Josh Berry finished second. I don't want to say that was a controversial, but I think that was good, hard, short track racing between the two.
Absolutely.
And Deke McCaskill, was good to see him run good. And I did see where he did post today that his wife was there. They parked her on the track side,
that was
and
awesome.
she was there. I was so glad to see that, man.
Yeah,
We're all
really
always
cool.
thinking about her, and so glad she got to be there. And he had a great run, too, so I know that made everybody happy. Bobby McCarty didn't really qualify that well, raced solid, finished fourth. Riley Herbst, some of the guys that were waiting to see what they're going to do this year. Hey, how about it? Top 5 right out of the box.
He outperformed what I thought he was going to do. So I knew he was in a good car, but I just didn't know what he had.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly did. And some of the other guys that really are unknowns going into the season with the car store and the late model, Drew Dollar finished 7th.
Yep.
So good for him. Taylor Gray finished 13th. And Chad McCumbee, man, my heart goes out to him. I don't know if he just burned the stuff up or what, but he had a great car through 3/4 of that race.
He had a great run going for sure.
Because we were sitting right in the middle of the back straightaway and watching his car, the drive he had off the corners early on. He had the best forward drive in anybody.
For sure. He was moving.
So, but, I thought he was really going to be there at the end. But it's good to see him there race. I don't know if he's going to do the whole tour. I hope so. Man, it really looked good out there. So good job to those guys. But all eyes were in Victory Lane. Tony Stevens, he was in Victory Lane with Brandon Pierce, and it was very exciting. It sounded a little bit something like this.
Here he comes out of the race car. $10,000 richer. Brandon Pierce at Southern National Motorsports Park is a Cars Tour winner. What's it feel like to be a Cars Tour winner?
Man, I'm probably going to get emotional, and I don't give a damn. I've worked at this so hard, and this has been coming for a long time. And I took the off-season pretty personal and went to work on myself really hard. And these guys have thrashed, and just really, reset my whole focus this off-season, and knew that it was time to hit the reset button and try to see what I was missing to be more determined to win these races, because I had been in cars that I could get the job done and hadn't, but there was no stopping us today. But I owe it all to that man right there and these guys, along with all these great sponsors. When you got a 4-time national champion here, if you just listen to them, you're probably going to win. So that's what I did, and here we are.
But what was it like in the cockpit of this race car, the final 10 laps? It looked like Josh was good early, but you could reel him in. Did you have any idea that you could get there and those final couple laps? What was it like? Take us through it all those thoughts in your head. What was there?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When the caution come out, I was pretty pissed. I had used it up pretty good trying to run Josh down. Lap traffic, just how you were catching them, and some would go high, some would go low, and so you didn't really ever know. It changed lap to lap, even coming up on the same car again. So I just knew I had to get a really good start and hold him tight, and if I could get down behind him, I felt like I had enough left that I could get by him. So he was getting really tight, and I was getting really free, and I just shoved him off the bottom there a little bit and got the job done.
There you go. It's the thoughts in Victor Lane. Very cool to hear him have a lot of emotion and talked about searching within in the offseason. I thought that was very important. But on the other side of that, Josh Berry, our very own Langley Austin, caught up with Josh Berry, and Josh shared his thoughts right here going in late in that race.
Yeah, I don't know. The long run before I started getting a little bit free, and then the restart, we fired off good, and then this last couple laps I started getting free, and I just knew I had to protect the bottom. Because I knew he wasn't going to be able to pass me off the corner, so I knew he was going to probably have to get into me, and I was just trying to do my best to hold it down, and I mean, he rolled in there and knocked me out of the way, but I mean, that's racing. I mean, racing for the win, I'd probably do the same thing, and it sucks, but we had a really good car. This is not our best track by any means, and we come out here and dominated the race. I just wish we'd been a little bit better at the end.
There you go. Very well spoken. said it was short track racing. Right there, you heard it, just like we talked about with Philip Morris. You guys talking about, Josh Berry is of that same cloth, man.
Right.
Short track racing. But huge thank you to PitRow.tv for the audio from the Cars Tour. Appreciate those guys allowing us to do that. It was awesome seeing the raw thoughts and emotion from Brandon Pierce. And plus, thinking about emotion and our thoughts are with Brandon Willard, the Cars Tour flagman. Had a medical situation during the super late model race. We had to stop the race, and so he could achieve some medical attention. He did go to the hospital. He was released. He got to go home. He's resting. He's doing great. His dad and family saying, got to listen to the doctors, got to do what they say. So we're all going to be there for him and punch him in the arm. Say, boy, you better listen to your dad, listen to your doctors, listen to your Paul, and everything will work out good. But he did say he will be at Hickory flagging for the Cars Tour.
That's great to see, too.
Great.
I told Danny, tell him there's easier ways to get out of work. Don't do that.
And if anybody can knows that is Corey Crazy Corey Latham, right?
Yeah, but I love Brandon. I've known Brandon for years,
I
and
know.
Danny, I pick with him and all. But I mean, that scared the I watched it on TV, and it scared me really bad.
Yeah, it was very scary. Gosh, I've seen him when I was announcing years ago, 5, 6 years old.
Oh, yeah.
His dad got him the flags, while Danny, his dad, was flagging the UARA late model, and
It could have been way, way worse.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I'm real thankful, and I put on my social media. I was real thankful for the quick responders.
Yeah,
there was a lot of folks that were in the crowd, I think, with medical background that knew right away. Hey, somebody do this. No, you can't do that. They kind of recognized what was going on, and that was important.
And I think Diaz with his flag stand, where it's got a trap thing where you can't get out of it unless you make yourself get out of it.
Right.
Yeah, and that was great. And Diaz was right on the spot as soon as we realized, because he was standing beside of us in the tower. As soon as he realized, man, he rushed down there. He's got some medical background, I believe, and man, he was right there with him, and stood right there and worked with him the whole time.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So Danny. And everybody with the Willard family. We're thinking about you. Brandon, you little turd, you scared us, but glad you're going to be okay.
Yep, definitely.
Sure.
We're definitely
All right, last bit, don't forget, Cars Tour, late model stock, and super late models coming up March 23rd. We want to see everybody back there at the Cars Tour race, and that is all there is for the news, boys.
Yep, and that race is at Hickory.
Hickory Motor Speedway.
What did I say?
You didn't say.
You didn't say it all.
Oh, yeah. I was seeing if you guys paid attention.
Yeah.
Kevin was paying attention over. He's like, hey, man, you know,
There you
that
go.
race is
Thank
at my
you.
track. So.
That's right. Hickory Motor Speedway, the birthplace of the NASCAR stars.
That's what it says on the wall.
Yep.
So we'll go with that.
It's birthed a few.
Wow.
Absolutely. For
Yeah,
sure.
quite a few has rolled through there.
Yeah.
Well, look, we don't have his mic on yet.
We didn't have his mic on. He's over here trying to talk to us.
Right.
He thinks we're bringing him on. He just don't know. We're going to sit here and just talk bad about him for a little while first.
We just break him down.
That's how they roll, Kevin.
Right.
We
do it to everybody.
He said he had an hour to give tonight, so we're going to give him his hour coming up here in just a moment. So
I'm happy about that.
A couple of things that he touched on. The Drew Dollar and Taylor Gray, they sure made my rookie power rankings look bad.
Yes.
Because Adam Lemke, starting parked after crashing with Ronald Hill on Friday.
Yeah.
And Minnie Tyrell didn't have a really good run.
Yeah.
Finished 19th.
That one surprised me.
It did to me too, because it's kind of his track. You know what I mean?
Right. I was surprised. I'm not talking bad about him. I was surprised with the outcome there.
Right.
I thought he would come out hot.
Yeah,
he was my sleeper. I thought he would come out hot.
Yeah, and one thing I think may play against him too is he didn't go to the Cars Tour limited race as he had planned to last year at Hickory, so he has no Hickory Motor Speedway experience to my knowledge. So that's going to work against him too.
Yep.
There's not many that just show up at Hickory out of the blue and do really, really, really well.
Not typically. I mean, for sure.
No, I guess not.
So.
No, it takes a few times.
Diaz chiming in, Michael Diaz chiming in on the.
Still?
He said that.
He took offense to what Langley said.
No, he said that Jeff Batten and his wife were a huge help with Brandon.
Awesome.
Oh,
good,
awesome.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was
cool.
That was really good. But those two rookies were really impressive for sure, and. I don't know what we got going on over here, but anyways,
Don't panic.
One of the things
we can't have video.
One of the things that I found to be very weird for me. I watched the race, watched the replay. Yesterday when they posted it. And a lot of people on RACE22 and on some other places, talking about how dirty, Brandon Pierce drove. He didn't wreck a single soul.
Right.
Even let Josh Berry catch his car.
Brandon was aggressive.
I don't understand.
He was aggressive.
Oh, he's always aggressive.
Yeah, he was aggressive, but I mean, no, he didn't wreck nobody's stuff.
I mean, I just don't understand. I don't understand what people expect to see at a racetrack.
If he would have passed him on that initial contact, possibly there'd have been argument.
But he let him
he did it perfectly, in my opinion. That's short track racing.
And the whole reason Josh didn't say nothing about it at the end of the race, Brandon was rolling the center. Good Lord, way better than he was. That's why he about run over him.
Right.
Lee Pulliam had played that thing out on the radio with him perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that was the missing ingredient for him, because if I remember correctly, last week Brandon told us that Marcus Richmond was in his ear when he runs second at Orange County, so maybe that's what he needs to get over that hump. Obviously, he's over that hump now.
I think you got to give Lee some credit. He's kind of blended into the background a
little. Speaking of, after last week's show, I kind of said, talked about a lateral move and all of our conversation here last week, and he did say in Victory Lane, after asking about a lateral move, he wondered what Roger Johnson had to say.
No, I wasn't dogging him in the beginning. I just think it takes. I understand what it takes for a man with that much talent to be like, no, I'm going to sit back here and do this with other people and not drive. That's a tough thing. I think that's a tough thing for anybody that's on top of their game. I by no means meant it disrespectfully.
And it lasted 1 week. He's going to drive. He's going to drive this weekend at South Boston.
And I expect that.
About killed him.
And I expect that. He's a competitor. That's what he's going to do. If you think he's going to sit on the sidelines and do that when he knows he can do, a great job, he's not going to do that.
And speaking of, before we jump into Kevin's thing, I think this race at South Boston this weekend is going to be.
Yeah, it's shaping up pretty good.
It's going to be pretty fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
South Boston's shaping up really good. Having Philip Morris, Peyton Sellers, Lee Pulliam, that's going to be, instead of a 2-car battle for the win, this year they'll have a 3-car battle for the win, at least this week. So
I hope Thomas Scott smokes them
So
all.
you're discounting anybody else that's in the field?
Last year it was 2 cars. That's it. That's all that pretty much battled for the win every week. I think Austin Thaxton got a win, and somebody else did, but Brandon Pierce did. But, other than that, those 2 guys pretty much were the class of the field every week. Nobody gave them any serious battle.
Yeah, but wasn't that an indication of what's going to happen in the Cars Tour deal this week? Nobody was overly the way it started. Nobody was surprised and fell down like, holy cow, I can't believe this guy's running as good as he is. Look
right.
who was there. It was the same thing.
Sure.
It was the same thing.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we got right now. Then we
Langley
got another
must have been
group.
Shocked with his number 6.
Oh my gosh.
We got another group that kind of all runs together, right? It's the same thing.
I think Doc's confused on how power rankings work. But anyways, we're going to move on to bring you Kevin Piercy, because I done burned up 4 minutes of his hour that we're giving him here. So thank you for coming, Kevin.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Wasn't sure if we could get you on here. You know what I mean? Just I know you never know what to expect here for sure.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, Langley, we were just way behind with all the rain, bad weather. I didn't want it to rain out last week, but it was almost a godsend. We don't have the walls painted. We don't have other things done. And so it kind of worked out for the best. Maybe the Lord just sent me a little prayer there.
Well, the way the weather is this week, and, with the potential of having more late models this week for your opener, it's always good when you open up with the best potential. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I've already had a couple of the Cars Tour drivers have called me about practicing, and 1 or 2's called me about racing. So I think we'll pick up a couple there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think everybody likes coming to Hickory except for Brandon Pierce, but he just can't seem to get that racetrack. And I really, I'm sure if Lee wasn't racing this weekend at South Boston, I'm sure Brandon would probably try to be in that race this weekend himself. So I think it's good for those guys, to battle, at Hickory. And anytime you get a chance to race there, the track's so different, from everywhere else the tour goes, especially. That I think anytime you go there's a good opportunity for you to learn something.
Well, it's not uncommon for somebody to start on the high side on a restart, the leader to choose the high side, because momentum is just as important at Hickory as the bottom line. And with the momentum, and we're definitely a handling track, not a horsepower track, so you can use that momentum to your advantage. So I would look for people to use the high line again this week.
Yeah. Well, tell us about what we got coming up, the race that we're going to see this weekend. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we were going to do an 80-lapper, but we changed back to twin 40s because we were going to start out the season with twin 40s, and everybody loves those twin 40s, and that with the invert with 8, it gives some people an opportunity to lead some laps and possibly win if they can get out front that may not normally be there. And so we're going to do our Twin 40s. We're going to do our Paramount Kia Auto Group Big 10 race again this week. It's going to be a 50-lapper for the limiteds, and we'll have our street stocks and super trucks, 4-cylinders, and Renegades. So it's pretty much going to be the same thing we're going to open up with, only we kept the 4-cylinders on because they were there for the second race.
Got you. Yeah, it sounds like a good show. Don't know where I'll end up. It's wherever the rest of my guys go, I'll end up at the other track. So
I was a little disappointed in you because
I
love you to death, Langley, but I had not called that race off yet, and you showed a picture going down the snow highway. You said you
I
were coming
already
to Hickory.
knew that you were going to cancel.
You said
I knew you were going to cancel. I'd been telling Kim all week, I'm like, we're going to end up having to go to Southern National because they're going to cancel. And I kept looking at the weather, and I'm like, if Kevin gets this race in, more power to him, but it ain't going to happen.
You boys like that? He had to go to Southern National.
Yeah.
He wanted to be in Hickory, but he had to go to Southern
did.
National.
We talked about it last week.
He'll be here this week.
I really wanted to, if I had my choice between seeing a race at Southern National, and this is no offense to Michael Diaz because I know he's listening.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But if I had my choice of seeing races at Hickory or Southern National, I'm picking Hickory every time. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Well, we're a unique place to be, and like I said, it's a multi-groove track. You're going to see racing there, no question about it. Now, if we asphalted the track, we'd probably end up a one-groove facility too.
Maybe South Boston didn't, so.
Well,
don't.
They're
ever
very
pave
racing.
that
Yeah,
place.
please don't.
Don't ever pave.
Well,
Hickory.
I don't think that's in the near future plan. However,
all that money you're making over there, you might as well put some of it into the asphalt.
There we go.
RV parking.
That's how it starts.
Yep. And it's begun. The gloves are off.
I knew Langley would bring up money. That's what it's all about. So, but no. I don't think you want to pave it, but at some point, the track surface was paved in the early 90s. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah, there's only so much sealer you can put.
Well, sealer, and if you've been over there, we got about 19 patches of concrete in there in different areas where we patch it, and we try to keep up with it. And we don't want to pave it because the racing is so good, but at some point, you're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Mike Diaz chiming in on my text message with a message for me. I won't share that with all of y'all, but it was not nearly as nice as all the nice things Kevin has to say over here.
That was nice. I'm proud of you.
It's all Langley, Mike. It ain't me.
But tell us about the business of Hickory Motor Speedway. Everybody thinks, and we know this to be a fact. Everybody thinks that every racetrack is just making a killing,
right.
and they can look up in the stands, and the stands might have 10%.
You're pulling dump truck loads out of here.
They might be 10% full, and people are like, yeah, they're still making a killing. You see how much they selling tires, and they doing this, and they got this for the pit pass. They just don't understand the business. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, that's a frustrating part of it, but I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I love Hickory Speedway, and I love being there and love being a part of it. It's a dollars and cents business, and you have to treat it that way. And if you don't treat it that way, then you won't keep the doors open. I remember another facility that went to $5 tickets at one point, and they came down. The first thing some of the competitors said to me is, when are you going to do $5 tickets? I said, I'm not. I'm going to stay in business.
Yeah.
And that was literally 5-6 years ago, and we're still in business. So you don't see me go up a lot. You don't see me go down a lot. We kind of just run that same maintained plane, but it's a discouraging business to say the least. I think one of the hardest things about it is it's so frustrating. We live in a very somewhat selfish society now.
Sure.
When it comes to calling sponsors, you got to call somebody 30 times, and they're not going to call you back. You almost feel guilty, like you're guilting them into sponsor. You're like, hey, I'm going to call you till you give me something. So, that's a sad part of it, but you have to do that. And we used to do very well on our employee appreciation nights. But you're in the same boat now. You almost can't get a hold of a human resource people. You got to go through a certain amount of channels there. They're not going to call you back, so you got to just keep digging and keep pushing and pushing. But a lot of expenses people take for granted. You have insurance for your buildings and a general liability policy. You know this as being a promoter. You have event insurance that you have to do every single week. That covers that particular event. That's over $800 an event usually. And then you have the lease at Hickory, which is unfortunately astronomical. And a lot of people don't realize this, but we also lease the land next door for parking. and a lot of people don't realize that's an additional lease.
No, I had no idea on that.
We got then you have your other bills in there. Our power bill, $2,200 to $2,300 a month. Water bill, sewer bill, internet bill, phone bills. I mean, it's an expensive thing to run, and if you're going to run Hickory Speedway, you better have an outlet of cash that you can fund the track as it kind of gets back on its feet from each winter. And that's especially in this situation where we've had so much rain, people can't practice. You better be able to delve off a little bit to the track to help it get its feet on the ground. Now it will, but it's just a matter of time till it does that. But it's we've lost some sponsorship this year. We do very well on sponsorship. I think we do probably as well as any track when it comes to sponsorship. We have probably roughly 25, 30 billboards and some race night sponsors and things like that. But sometimes you lose those people when they change the regional managers, and the new manager comes in and he decides he wants to go a different route, or in the case we had a Fry Regional Hospital, which was a super good sponsor for years, and they felt they had played it out. They'd been there about 5 years, and they just felt they played it out. So, we seldom lose anybody. In fact, I don't know that we've ever lost anybody for something we've done wrong. It's just people that choose to move their marketing dollars or bring different people in and change venues.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, with businesses, when you're selling, I know from experience, I don't sell anymore. Kim has to do all that now. But, from, my experience, it's always changing all the time. It's always somebody new, in there. And when a new guy comes in, he may like soccer better than he does racing. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. So.
Well, we had a sponsor that chose to leave. They changed regional managers, but they stayed with the local baseball team. So, without throwing the local baseball team under the bus after about 3 or 4 innings, that's kind of boring. It don't get boring at Hickory Motor Speedway, but I think they like baseball better than racing. So you don't condemn them for that. It's just you just move forward and try to do the best you can to pick up some others. We picked up about 3 or 4 to make up for some of that. We haven't made it all up, but that happens every year. You just kind of ride that wave. You make a little more one year than you did the last year on sponsorship, or then you lose a little the next year. So you expect to lose, 20,000 in sponsorship and hopefully get 16 back, or lose 16 and get 20 back,
Right. I mean, is that, you say you do really good on sponsorship. Is that one of your lesser challenges, is selling sponsorship, or is that one of your biggest challenges?
I hate doing that. I absolutely despise doing that. I mean, I am not a person that's cut out for asking people for money. And there's a lot of people that are cut out for that, but I'm just not one of them. And I really feel like you need at least 4 people to run the racetrack. You need a maintenance guy. You need a secretary. You need the general manager, and you need somebody in outside sales.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you need a part-time media person to also.
Now you
need a full-time media person.
You may be 2 of them.
Yeah.
I'm
possibly 3.
I didn't want to go too far and say 5, but
no, that would have been what you needed.
But my point is, if there's any position that I could hire and get off my back, it would be outside sales. I would love to find somebody, but there's nobody that wants to work on commission anymore. They want a salary and commission.
Right.
And if they don't sell anything, you just keep spending more and more money. You guys were talking on an earlier show about sometimes you got to put some money in it to get some money out. You got to think long term. You got to think future. Well, there's no future if you can't get to that future. So unfortunately, we have to think short term to make sure that there is a future long term.
Survival mode.
Absolutely. Yeah. No question about it.
And I don't know the particulars of how your lease works, but it's hard to work long term when, depending on the way your lease is as well.
Well, I've looked into the ins and outs of possibly purchasing the racetrack, and the only way you could do that would be to owner finance. And if you owner finance, I mean, you throw a $1.8 or $2.2 million debt on there with a 4% commercial loan, which would be a steal.
It would be a steal.
It's the same thing as the lease. You're spending the same thing as the lease to try to purchase. Plus, you don't have enough parking with the racetrack without getting the land next to it. So realistically,
that's kind of what I was going to ask you, Kevin. Is talk about, because that is such a unique situation, because the track has one owner, then the land is owned separately. Is that what I understand from the years before, or is it partial part of the land if you get the track?
It's separate parcels.
Right.
but and it's a different lease for each parcel.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That makes it pretty
Not
difficult.
the same person owns each one.
Well, it's not exactly the same person, but it's a group of individuals that owns the parcel.
Gotcha.
So,
And that's what makes that so complicated, right? To
Well-
look at buying.
well, I mean, you know,
$2.2 million is what makes it complicated.
That's what makes it difficult.
Listen, I mean, let's not lie to anybody, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and to have to endure that payment, it's bad enough when you know it's a lease and you can. try to
Kevin
work
makes
your way
it
through
like
it.
every race. I
He
mean, that's what I
does,
read
yeah.
on Facebook.
We drove up in his brand new Ferrari,
that's
and he
why,
was throwing Bitcoin on the table, just like making.
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to paint a gloom and doom picture by any stretch of the imagination, but it wouldn't be a very smart economical move to buy a racetrack right now, in my opinion. So,
That's another conversation.
Yeah,
I'm not even
Langley
going
and
to
I
dive
disagree.
into that one. But
We're sick though.
you know, you made me lose my train of thought on that one.
Hit the fence right there, didn't you?
Yeah. I agree with you for the most part that if you're buying a racetrack to run it as
As a
racetracks
racetrack,
run
you're
currently
right.
Correct.
right now,
You're
is a
beat.
terrible investment.
Yeah, you're beat.
Yeah.
well, and we do a lot of other stuff. I mean, we got, we try to
Tell
run
us about that.
Well,
no, honestly, maybe a lot of people don't know. Tell us about all
we
this
run
stuff you
about
do.
18 NASCAR events, including our Big Bobby Isaac race, which is a very popular race in our fall brawl. We also branched out. We have 2 cars race. We have a pass race. We have a Southern Modified race. We have
North-South shootout.
North-South shootout. I was getting there, Corey. So I can't, better not. Renee wouldn't forgive me for that.
No.
Yes, you would.
And then we also have a hog happening, which is a deal they used to do in Lincolnton, where they bring in these bands and throw a party for charity. And so we do that. And then something, if you guys ain't never seen this, you need to come to the Sundown Audio Show. I don't remember the exact date on it, somewhere I believe in August. But these guys have $100,000 stereos. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Matt
tell you
was
something.
telling me about
Oh
this.
my goodness! I mean, I sit in the office, it just rattles the roof.
He said it was amazing. He said it's amazing.
These people sitting there and their shirts shake, their hair shakes. I mean,
said it's amazing.
They bust windshields out. I mean,
Wow.
All with
it's
radios.
a trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good
So,
stuff.
we ain't woke nobody from the graveyard yet, though. So we're all right.
Well, that's a good thing, I think. We don't need no zombies rolling around, for sure.
They control Hickory, that's for sure.
I've been there. I'm going into my 11th year, and that was I had a complaint 2 years ago on the Sundown Audio. No complaints on the racing and the cars, but on the Sundown Audio. So luckily, when she called me, her number popped up, so I knew how to call her back. And I picked up the phone and she said, "I know you need the money. I know the track's got to have the money, but I've got a splitting headache and that thing's rattling my windows across the street." And I said, "Well, ma'am," I said, "I'll tell you what," I said, "next year, I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna give you 2 tickets to Biltmore for you and your husband
to go somewhere else."
And you
That's
two,
a good plan right
That
there.
was a good move.
You
Good
two,
move.
That is the most awesome
Yes.
thing right
That's
there.
a
That
good
is
move.
thinking right
That
there,
is
buddy.
a good move.
you two can go and enjoy a day at Biltmore on me, and we'll get this thing over with. So, but I have to tell them to turn them down because it starts at like 9. So they'll start showing up parking lot 7:30, and they'll start shaking the parking lot. And go, whoa, wait till you're inside. Inside, please.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. But
That's
so
awesome.
we're looking into different venues. I'd like to try bands and things. I mean, I hear they're very popular. The owner of the track, Benny, a super nice guy, told me better stay away from those. He said, he never had much success with them. I believe, who was it that wanted midget wrestling? I'm all in. We can try that.
I want to do the
wrestling's awesome.
tossing.
MMA.
Midget
MMA.
tossing.
Midget tossing.
You see, they got those
What?
things.
You
the
put Velcro on them and throw them
yeah.
against the
Have
wall?
you seen that?
Yeah. Yeah, you take a midget and throw them up against the wall with Velcro suit on.
Sponsored by Performance
We'd
Center.
do that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We would do that.
Exactly.
We would do that.
He'd do it just so he could throw one.
We would do that. We need to get him signed waivers.
Wow.
We should do that.
Alan Huffman says that Sundown Audio is August 17th.
There you go. Appreciate it, Alan.
Alan, right on it.
He's on top of it. That's public relations guy helping out here tonight.
There we go. I don't think I can afford him full time, though.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it. What do you consider? The car store comes there, Southern Modifieds. You have all your own events. What do you consider to be the biggest event at Hickory Motor Speedway?
Well, I mean, the car stores are always are always an attraction, especially with that throwdown race that they did towards the end of the year. But by far, it's hands down Nights of Destruction.
Yeah.
I mean, that place
Nights of
packs the
Destruction.
house. I think we've done 13 or 14 of them so far since I've been there, and sold like 9 or 10 of them out.
That packs the house, don't it?
Oh my goodness!
I mean, they just had one at Langley the other week, and I looked at the stands,
Yeah.
and there wasn't an empty spot in the stands.
Yep. It's by far the biggest thing. And to be honest with you, everybody thinks, oh, you're rolling in the dough there, but there's so much more it costs you to do that. Right. You have to have extra security, and plus George Nauer out of Florida, he's a partner in on that one that we work out. We work together on that one and make that happen. And there's school buses and cars that are bought and stuff that's tore up. So so it's a money maker for sure.
Yeah.
But
it's the most money I ever made at a racetrack.
You're still not backing the dump truck up though. I promise you that.
Sure.
So
yeah. Yeah, they used to accuse me of having an armored truck roll in after they left, but that didn't ever happen.
The good thing about those kind of events is they're guaranteed income, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're gonna make something. Where on any Saturday night, there's no guarantee that there's going to be an income. I mean, you just, there's times I've opened my eyes on Saturday morning and been physically sick of my stomach. Going, okay, what's the day going to bring? You know what I'm saying?
Right. What makes your track? I see other tracks. They're struggling to get cars all the time. Hickory just keeps going. I mean, I've been there on a 35 lap limited race, and there's 27 cars in the middle of summer.
Well,
what keeps you getting all the drivers coming back all the time?
Well, you're not going to. I don't think that I can take credit for that. I do believe that I treat people good. I'm respectful of people, and I try to give them an equal playing field to go on. But I think that a lot of it is Hickory Motor Speedway. It's just Hickory Motor Speedway has a kind of a life of its own, and I think that fuels it. Can anybody come in there and run it? I don't think so. We've seen people run things in the ground before, but still, you're kind of a leg up on a lot of racetracks just by saying Hickory Motor Speedway.
Oh, for sure.
And I got a couple numbers here ready just because I knew that would come up. But we averaged just under 13 late models a race last year, which I don't think is a disaster. And and with a high, I think, of 27 or 28. And then on our limited counts, we have about 16.8 average. And of course, like Corey said, don't be surprised sometimes if you roll in there and there's 22 limited cars. It's unbelievable.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. There's nothing special. Just all of a sudden you show up one night and there's 25 limiteds there.
I don't know this to be a fact, but I would say that average in the limiteds is probably the highest of any racetrack that runs both divisions.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, and also I want to say this too, because I mean sometimes people throw off on the tire deal and things like that.
Sure.
That used tire deal makes it affordable, and I'm gonna be honest with you. We put a lot of work in our used tire deal. It's not like I had a racetrack call me one day, and they said, "What do we need to do? We want to do a deal like yours. We've heard people tell us that you got a good deal." And I explained the process. We get them out. We depth gauge every tire. We put them in lines. We clean the sidewalls so that they don't have rotting, because people will write junk or something on a tire just because they want to get rid of it, not because it's junk. And we clean them, and then we set them in stacks, and then they draw, and we scan the tires, and they race them. And it's successful whether anybody likes it or not. The same people are up front are still up front, and the same people in the back are still in the back. So, but it'll pay you to be able to understand how to read a used tire if you're going to run limited at Hickory Motor Speedway or super trucks. We run both them on used and street stocks on used tire.
You think it handicaps a guy coming in who's new to racing because he's got to run on used tires because he doesn't know anything about those tires?
I think it might be a little more difficult on him, but it's the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Go ahead and build you a $35,000 limited car and come over and put used tires on it. You're not going to be any better than the guy at the $20,000 limited car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of a great equalizer. I mean, money always buys the speed, but it keeps them closer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I just that was something Darren Hackett kind of pointed out, that he felt like that it kind of opened up the gap some, the used tire deal, and something that they do as well. But it opened up the gap a little bit for the guys coming in new, didn't really know anything, to a Mac Little.
You asked Darren a question that and I appreciate Darren, because he was the one brought up my lease, so he knows what I'm up against.
Right.
And I appreciate him very much. But Roger, I believe it was, asked him, said, "What are you doing to get cars in?" And I think you somewhat stumped him there, Roger. And I think you would have stumped almost any general manager or promoter that was there, because it's a flip over. You can always, I started that deal in my first few years at Hickory, where you pick the phone up and you call people, "Hey, you gonna come race? You gonna come race?" And 90% of them, I don't think so. We might get there, and you never really pick up a car.
Right.
And then you see on Facebook the next day that you're calling, begging people to come race for you, because you can't get no cars and stuff. So it's a bit of a catch-22. But what I've learned going into my 11th year is the people who are racing at Hickory Motor Speedway this weekend, they already know they're racing at Hickory Motor Speedway. Their mind's made up, okay? Competitors make their mind up where they're going to go. And that's where they're going to go, and a phone call's probably not going to change that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's kind of what I've learned is what do you do to keep them in? What do you do to get them coming back? You treat them fair, but how do you get them to come in the first place? They just got to want to come race,
Yeah.
When you promoted, is that what you did? I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying you grassroots did some, right? We talked about that a couple times before.
I spent a lot of time on Messenger on Facebook because that's where these people live today. You know what I mean?
Did it work for you, Langley?
Yeah, it did.
You'd be amazed at the amount of people here in the last, I'm going to say month, maybe 2 months. Well, Langley gets to see it. The amount of people that I quote things to on Messenger, the amount of parts I sell on
social media's changed the world.
That it's retarded. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. I don't talk to hardly anybody anymore. I mean, I still do get people that call or whatever, but many of the people, intriguingly, don't have time. So they'll message me Sunday afternoon. Hey, I work from 8 to 5. It's hard for me to get there when you close. Would you have 20 minutes or an hour to talk to me now? And you get a lot of messages. It's the only place that it becomes difficult is it's a little more work on the person's end.
Sure.
Because most of the people, it's harder for a lot of people to communicate through the text and get their whole thought process out. But other than that, I think it's a 100% win.
Yeah.
I think if you...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hickory, I've looked, and take us the wrong way, and I wish I could see more information about Hickory when I look online. I don't see as much as I do other tracks.
I've been telling him. I've been bitching at him every week. Ask him. I'm serious. I've been every week.
And that's why I think
and he's
when
my
you were
friend.
talking,
I mean, I don't mean it that way.
When you were talking about, the people you need, that's why I think the social media, the person putting out public relations, whatever you want to call it, I think that person is far more important than everybody else you listed.
So if you want to race at Hickory this Saturday night, message Langley Austin. RACE22, and he'll get it to me.
Yeah,
we'll get you a parking spot, and we'll be ready to go.
For sure, 100%. Langley would forward that on to you. No, he would. I mean, it's that easy.
Yeah,
Why did everybody look like, no, it's not that easy. It really is that easy.
No, yeah.
It really is that easy.
It really is.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a social media genius by any stretch of imagination. I mean,
the great thing is you don't have to be a genius.
You don't have to be.
Today, I believe, just me, it's so simple that anybody can do it. You know what I mean? I really believe that. I believe that anybody who will take the time to download the apps and put them on their phone can do it.
Yeah.
And they don't even need a computer.
I mean, if you give me free snow cones for a year, I'll do it, man.
Oh, my God.
You don't want him doing it.
You don't want him doing it. You'll have so many less cars.
Yeah, there's some places you should step in on. You had to take some videos down that weren't that. You know what I mean? You should. We had to restrict his time.
I've brought mini cars to racetrack, so.
We have to restrict his time period.
It's great to know he hasn't forgot about the shaved ice, though, because that's a big seller.
Oh, that's good.
I guarantee it's a big seller.
That's what he took out of that.
My wife every time, my nephew every time.
I eat them until I get almost sick. Yeah.
There's probably as much money there at shaved ice as there is in a racetrack.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. A few people chiming in about where we were talking about the tire deal. Gene Light says that he loves the tire deal. Thomas Bean said it's about 3 days of work for the tires. Kyle Manch said that he would have never been able to run a full season with his own car if it wasn't for the used tire deal.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Let's see.
Thomas has been one that's helped us on those tires before, like when in the summer or something, if he wasn't doing something, he's participated in getting them all out and depthing them and cleaning them. So he runs late model, but he understands that what goes into that limited deal.
Right. Zach Bruinger chiming in. He said that I got him to drive 2.5 hours away and drive down 5 Mile Mountain. And he did drive down 5 Mile Mountain, which, I mean, you guys don't know what that is. Well, you've been
I was
down
there.
I
was there. What do you mean?
Yeah, so, I mean, Kevin, you don't know, but it's it's interesting, and it's an interesting place to go.
Interesting.
It's everyday life for me, so I don't think anything about it.
It's scary enough in a car, but with a trailer?
You hear banjos playing halfway down the hill.
You should have seen Darrell Wallace Sr. when he used to go down it.
There was no banjo.
You didn't want to meet him. I'll tell you that right now.
They were playing a washboard. There was no banjo.
Right, for sure. Another Alan Huffman said that he agrees about the social media. He said PR is huge. Social media is a great leverage tool.
Yeah.
Randy Clark chiming in wants to know if you and Ron Barfield are working on a mass date.
I have not heard from Ron yet, but the door would always be open to do something like that. So.
Gotcha. All right.
And I will be staying after class, Langley, for some instruction in social media.
We don't have enough time for all that.
Let's talk about one
you're
thing.
going to be at Hickory this weekend, so we'll talk.
Let's talk about
the best thing about it is it's free.
Well,
there you go.
It is and it ain't.
To a certain extent.
I will say that today, the way things work, you're going to have to spend money. It is a free tool. You can reach your most rabid fans free, but you cannot reach new fans free.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about it that I think most people don't
promote
realize.
your post.
Not with any consistency. Anyway.
Yeah, you have to spend some money. Facebook, and that's something when
you got to spend money to get data. It's the same way with racing.
When I was at Southern National, that's something they had never done, and we spent quite a bit of money. I mean, at least it was Mike's. It wasn't mine.
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, we've advertised through Hickory Daily Record, different radio stations,
Hickory Daily Record,
and the local newspaper, and we found that you cannot tell any difference in weeks you advertise. Your crowd count just stays the same.
Then my question is, why are you doing it?
Well, we don't no more.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. We've done that in the past, and we have learned that.
Do you read the newspaper?
No, I don't read the newspaper.
Well, then why would you advertise it?
It still goes out to 20-some thousand people in the Catawba County area. So I'm not saying that that's a bad.
How much did that cost you?
$110.
$110 per race, per week, or whatever.
Yep. So. Now keep in mind, we didn't do it last year, Langley. So,
right.
so
you
we
realize
got off the train. We got off the train.
Right.
Be easy on him.
I am.
Can't you read the newspaper online for free?
I just
I don't know. Is there newspapers?
2 weeks ago, I had that exact same conversation with him. Did I not? I mean, it was verbatim. Could have been taped.
Oh man. And I'm not, I'm not dogging on you. It's just the way everybody thinks. They go to, old school media first. That's their first thought.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Of
course, but you've had success with that in the past.
Yeah,
so why would you not
I
go
agree
back
with
to
everything you say. I mean, we have had success.
You don't agree with everything we say.
Well, in this particular, in this particular subject, what I'm saying is, yes, we have went old school. We have had success. We're now learning that it's not successful.
Sure.
But I'm still old school. I have to be taught new school.
Right.
So I'm open.
Here's
to
the one
taught
new school thing I want to know about. I hear a lot of good things about Hickory. I hear a lot of bad things. That's just me, right? I
don't hear much bad.
I
don't hear a lot of bad.
I do, but it's always from the same, right? It's always from the same
it's always one
broadcasters.
One
yes,
group.
right?
Yep.
So my question is this, and this is the one thing I want you to address kind of on a platform where you get some ability to not have anybody rebuttal you. I want you to explain some of how important of a role the tire deal plays in the weekly layout of Hickory Motor Speedway. Because I think that everybody thinks, the racetrack just does its own thing, and Kevin rips the tire deal off to do whatever, and I don't think they understand how much sacrifice you put in from the tire deal. I'm not kissing your hind end. I'm just telling you and I have talked about it before. So I want you to let people know that you're losing on that to have the racetrack per se. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, the tire deal is a successful business.
Yes.
I mean, there's no question about that. I've been asked this question before. If you didn't have the tire deal at Hickory, would you walk away? And my answer is always the same. No, I would not walk away. I would run. I would run as fast as I could because we're just not economically strong enough without the tires. And what some people don't realize is there's also vendor agreements in this deal. I mean, some tracks it may suit them to get out of the new tire business and make them all limiteds and late models together and maybe do 2 tires or whatever. We have kind of the best of both worlds. We have a great limited field that runs on used tires. We have a good field of trucks that runs on used tires. And we have enough late models to survive. And therefore, we have vendor agreements. We have vendor agreements with Hoosier and Sunoco and people like that want to be a part of Hickory Motor Speedway too and other racetracks. So it's not as simple when everybody just says, just blend them all and do this and do that. It's not that easy. There's other entities involved that are working with me to help Hickory Motor Speedway be the best it can be.
What's the biggest thing you get bagged on? That Kevin Piercy gets ragged on by the customer or the competitor or or not even the fan? What's the biggest thing that you get ragged on that people don't know the real truth about?
Probably the biggest thing that the biggest hearsay I hear is that I'm greedy.
Yeah.
I'm this greedy son of a gun that all I care about is raking that money in, and you know, I don't care about competitors, I don't care about fans, and that is so far from the truth. Because there's times that I'm sitting over at 8:30 at night while the competitors are testing, and I'm not eating supper with my family because that's the only time they can test.
Sure.
Okay, and so, you know, trust me, if you want to be a general manager to make a living, you better not be greedy, because those two things don't go together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I agree 100%.
Yeah. I mean, every time I go to Hickory, it's one of my favorite tracks to go to. I go there and have a free run of the place, and he shakes my hand and tells me he's happy to see me every time I go there, and I enjoy being there.
Yep. I've been very fortunate. I knew from an early time to stay on Corey's good side.
If you read anything he posts on Facebook, you know better.
I've seen people get on his bad side, so me and Corey's buddies, I'm going to shake his hand, welcome him every time.
I enjoy being there. I do.
We love having you, Corey.
Only because you shake his hand and you're nice to him. That's the only reason he enjoys being there.
No, that's one. I mean, there's not any other track I've seen with overall collectively better racing through my watching racing at local level than at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Oh, I totally agree, 100%. Back to the tire deal, Ben Campbell chiming in says he's coming from Renegade to Limited this year at Hickory, and there would be no way to afford it without the tire deal. Bobby Little says he's looking forward to coming to Hickory this week. A lot of people chiming in, man. You've got the chat stirred up, and in a good way. I wasn't, you know.
Hey,
trust me.
Social media.
Yeah. Trust me, for every criticism, there's 5 or 6 people. I used to have a couple people, and one of them passed away, and I'm going to say his name because I respect him a lot. But his name was Donnie Harmon. He was a street stock competitor at Hickory. And Donnie would, about once every 2 weeks, he'd just come sit down in my office, and he'd say, don't pay no attention to it. You keep digging. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. We respect you. We know what you're doing. And another one's Tim Bean, Thomas's dad. There's people that build you up and let you know that you just keep on doing what you're doing, because we know where your heart is, and that's what's important.
I totally agree, 100%. And I think, I don't think anything's changed in the game. I talk to promoters all the time, and they're like, well, today, people just, they just want to be negative. No, people always wanted to be negative. But we are naturally negative. And I think the difference today is they have a platform in which to talk to one another about negativity instead of having to travel to somebody's race shop to talk to them about it. You know what I mean? Well, and everybody sees it.
Yeah, and they can hide behind it.
Oh, sure.
I mean, they hide behind it. And, you was talking about the frustration of people that push you and, say, hey, he's greedy. There's lies. I mean, sometimes I pick up something on there on the social media. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
Where did that come from, I had one occasion one time where somebody put on there that I was raising the price of the gas for my big race, which was a total, wasn't even in the picture. And I'm like, but he posted right there on social media for everybody to see, like, that I was going to raise prices for a big race. I mean, it's just foolishness. And now, I've got a lot of people that tell me I need to go in there and just let them have it. But I've just chosen to don't throw gas on the fire.
No, I don't think
don't throw gas.
I don't think that's it.
I think it works differently for everybody. I think I've seen some promoters take the avenue of going in there and combating it. I was very combative, when I was a promoter, because I just felt like I just wanted to. You know what I mean? I didn't care. You know what I mean? Are you gonna think less of me? You already think I'm a jackass now. So I mean, what difference does it make? You know what I mean? So I'd go at them. I didn't care, and I won half those battles, so I did all right. But
half the time, the 3 people you were talking to, though, man.
Well,
they were some nice ones.
I mean, they're from Franklin County, so I mean,
they were some nice ones.
I mean, it's just the way it is. But I think most people, unless you spend a lot of time on social media, which you obviously don't, I think you're better off not to, because you got to be fast with them in order to combat them. You know what I mean?
Well, but ultimately, Langley, you probably won a few battles. Like you said, you won some battles, but ultimately, I can't play the same game they're playing.
No, you can't.
Because they're going to automatically.
I appreciate you saying that.
It's going to make me look like some kind of a crazed idiot that's playing the game, the baby games they're playing.
Right.
And I'm just not going to do that. I've told people this, and whether you like me or not, it's irrelevant. I have one person to please besides my wife, and that's Jesus Christ. And if I'm pleasing him, I really don't care what anybody else out there thinks about me. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you what, I mean, it's a good thing my wife don't get on social media because she really is not happy with some of these people, but she treats them just as nice as can be when they walk in there. Even though she knows what they said about me 12 hours ago. She treats them like gold.
Yeah, and I always thought you've carried yourself professionally, and I think it would be bad for you to change any way you carried yourself at all now.
I always told my wife, I was like, when they come in, you're nice, and you stay off social media. You do not say a word. You can show it to me. We can talk about it if you want to. You don't say a word. I told my sister the same thing. Don't say a word. I will, if I think that it needs to be, something to battle, I will battle it. You know what I mean? But otherwise, we're leaving it the way it is. You know what I mean?
You can get a little bit of
going to Hickory when I walk in to sign in every time. I know everything that's going on in the whole week within 5 minutes.
I guarantee it.
I do.
She'll get you up to date for sure.
Yeah.
Well, she knows what's going on.
And you can get a little bit of satisfaction by typing in what you want to say to them and then delete it. You know what I'm saying?
I usually never got to the delete part.
And then walking away. I like that. That's a good way to do it.
I was never smart enough to delete it. I just go ahead and say.
Just type in what you want them to hear and then just delete it. And that way it makes you feel a little better. I've often said that. I mean, I might be looking you in the eyes, but you never know what I might be thinking. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I think things I probably shouldn't think.
Christopher Mays is chiming in on here, wants to know, have you seen a Super Cup race? And he said he would love to see those cars at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Well, I actually have seen a Super Cup race, and they have raced at Hickory Motor Speedway before with, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, the older fella that's kind of skinny. Help me out, Corey. Joe.
Yeah. I remember when they raced there.
Joe something.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. One.
Are they still around?
Yes.
Well, they are.
They're pretty strong.
But there's a couple things that stood in the way of that. One was the guy that ran the place. He wants you to give him X number of dollars to come in and run, and I don't know that they have achieved that value yet, and maybe they have, but to me they haven't. And then the second thing is they were running with a pass race several years ago, and we had rain, and Tommy moved it to Sunday, and they loaded up and left. Didn't tell nobody nothing. They just packed up and left and drove off. And I told the guy that run it, I said, man, you don't do stuff like that. You at least need to tell the guy what you're doing, Tommy. So I don't want to go down that road at this point yet. But doors always open.
Understand completely. Going back to the social media thing, Mike Jones chiming in says that his insurance page reaches about 30,000 people on a post, giving away 2 tickets to South Boston every week. I think you guys give away some tickets every now and then. How does that work for you?
We did that with Trevor, and we found success with the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers were really good.
Yeah.
But we didn't really see it happening in the stands. Yeah. I mean, we couldn't tell that there was any big change in the stands. So, it's definitely something that I would be willing to open up the door again and give some tickets away and things like that, because, that's an area that at least people are talking about you, even if they don't come every week.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I'm reading through some of these comments here. Just a lot of people chiming in about Facebook.
Deleting the bad ones?
No, it's not been anything bad yet, actually. Anybody wants to put anything bad, go ahead. We'll ask him. You know what I mean? Whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But Andy Markey chiming in said that they using Facebook Live helped them tremendously at Carteret. So he works PR down there at Carteret. Also works part-time for us sometimes. When we can get him to do something, I'm sure he'll chime in on that. Gene Light said it's Joe Smelling.
That's
Joe Smelling.
Yeah. Got the Joe.
Chad Campbell chiming in with some nice comments about me. Appreciate it, Chad. Alan Huffman said that Jason Sherrill is doing a great job sharing Facebook Live and race updates for you.
Maybe it's just something I need to delve deeper into, that we're on the surface of that, and we need to get down into the deep.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't see a single racetrack, in our area that is working social media even 10% of what they need to work it. And I mean,
I don't either.
I don't see any. I mean, the Cars Tour, I'd say they probably work it more than any racetrack in this area. But New Smyrna Speedway, if anybody wants something to look at somebody really doing a good job on social media, those guys are working it. I mean, I get, notifications with them all the time, going live, and they'll have a little live radio show, and they just sit there and talk, and, it's just a promoter and some audio
Carteret's
guy.
probably the closest one that does.
They're just, Carteret does a good job. I'm not discounting anything anybody does in this area, but I still say they ain't got to 10% of what they could do and should be doing. I mean, and honestly, I believe I did social media for Southern National, and I don't know if we ever got to 10% of what we should be doing. You know what I mean? I think it's a full-time, 24/7, content overload that's going to push people to go to the racetrack. I really believe that.
There's so many things to compete with now. You got to make people want to come see your product.
Absolutely.
And everybody's on social media, so.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Tony McFall's chiming in, wanted to know what happened with the Southern National flagman. That was Brandon Willard. He had a medical emergency on the flag stand during the super late model race, during the Car Store race Saturday. He's doing okay now. He is home resting, and he will be back in action at the Car Store race at Hickory in 2 weeks. And certainly, thoughts and prayers still going out to him. Hopefully he'll get that all under control, and we'll be, he'll be ready to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I want to ask you before you get out of here, what are you thinking about the North-South Shootout being at Hickory this year?
Oh, we're
with
really
the Tour Modifieds.
We're really looking forward to that. Renee brought that up to me a couple months earlier, and I don't know whether there was problems with Concord or whether she just wanted a change in venue. I didn't really ask that question. It wasn't none of my business. And,
right.
At the time, I'd spoke with Tommy, and Tommy wasn't having a whole lot of success with his Mason-Dixon meltdown, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And, it wasn't being very profitable. So, I don't think Tommy would have changed his venue, but I think that Tommy's just a great individual to work with, believe it or not. I mean, me and him get along great. And I think that when she asked to do that date, that, that he kind of just said, well, it's not been very successful for me, so let's go ahead and I'll just bow out that one and back out.
Right. And when you say Tommy, you're referring to Tom Mayberry, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify that for anybody listening that doesn't really, know what's going on.
Well, the chat should go wild now.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Probably not. We're not really a super late model crowd.
Good point.
So, otherwise.
Tommy's been good to Kevin Piercy. I don't have anything to say that wouldn't be harsh or anything.
This would be a good question for you, Corey. Ethan Johnson wants to know who all is running in that race, the North-South Shootout. So you can tell us a little bit about it. That's more your cup of tea.
Who all is running in it?
Well, I think he just means cars, maybe. What divisions and all that.
Well, Kevin, it's your racetrack.
So Corey's not dialed in on information. Right. That's what we can go ahead and go with, right?
No, I have not. Running toward Modifieds. There we go.
It's not my race, but I'd say there's about a half a dozen of them coming to that one. I think it's Modifieds. There's Modifieds. I believe they got some kind of a Southeast Limited coming. I think some kind of super's coming, and so
it should be Renee and M's tours. I mean, the regular tours.
Right, I would say it's probably all of their tours.
Yeah, but watching the mods, and I know Langley hates Modifieds.
Whoa, let's stop. I don't hate Modifieds. At most racetracks they suck.
At Hickory, some of the best racing you ever see, because I mean I've seen people get out there and I say, well, look at this guy here. And he's lapping the field, and then 12 laps later, he's running 17th, and it's just there's so many comers and goers, and some of the best modified racing I've ever seen has been at Hickory.
And one of the great things you say there, Corey, is our straightaways are not that long.
Yeah.
So you can physically watch them running somebody down. I mean, it's not well, I think they might be making up a little ground. You can see it. He's catching him. There's 2 car links. There's another car link. There's 2 more.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of fun when somebody that they too hard on those tires early, it'll tell in the end.
Yeah, it's very exciting racing, and looking forward to see all these northern guys come down, and they should put on a show for sure.
Yeah, Mike Jones chiming in says amen about my comment about the modifieds. Of course, he's been giving you crap on Facebook for a while. But I will say this, Mike Jones, when the modifieds come to South Boston, I don't remember when the race is, but that ought to be a good one with the Northern Tour,
Yeah.
South Boston is actually one of the few tracks that put on a pretty good show for the modifieds. I mean, I haven't seen one at Hickory, so I can't comment on that. But, like Franklin County, South Boston, anything.
Orange County.
Yeah, Orange County. Anything in Orange County, Tri-County, those tracks. Yeah. Hickory seems to be the same way. Those 3 tracks kind of fall in the same category. Anything there can put on a really good show.
I'll see if they have a ride-along program with the modified so Mike can get a sense of speed.
Yeah, well.
It had to be the size of a truck.
What are you most happy about that Hickory's having this year?
I think you missed what he was talking about.
Like, what do you got going at Hickory that you're most happy about, that you can't wait for this year? I mean, in years past, you and I have talked. You've done, some big charity things. You've done some, big races, big whatever. What do you got on tap?
One of our sponsors is Sam's Club, who always does the Children's Miracle Network charity, and we've been very fortunate to partner in with them. And I think there was one year we finished second in the nation that this local Sam's Club did. And when they did that, I think they got my understanding was 2 neonatal intensive care units for children.
Nice.
So things like that are always exciting to be able to know that you're a part of that. But right this second for this year, I'm telling you, there's a lot of race car drivers out here chomping at the bits for this Saturday. You could feel the excitement, and you could feel the air come out of the bubble Saturday when they weren't going to be able to run. So I'm really excited about the upcoming events because I think there's a lot of excitement. I think we're going to have good car counts starting out, and I think you're going to see a whale of a race on Saturday night.
You said good car counts. What are you expecting?
Well, to be honest with you, I think I would add 15 or 16 late miles last week, even with the cars race. Yeah, I could count off 12 in my head that I knew were coming. The limiteds, a lot of times you don't really know.
Yeah, they're
who
hit or
else.
miss.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're going to have a good crowd, but you just don't know who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there might be that 7 or 8 that run every week. I want to put a shout out for Pat Rachels, who was our limited champion, that'll be running late model this year, and so look forward to seeing what he can do moving up a division. Austin McDaniel, Charlie Watson. We're going to have a good crowd of folks there.
Are they all going to run full for the championship?
I don't think they'll all. I don't know about Charlie. I don't think Austin will. I think he's working a lot, but Thomas Bean will be there this weekend, and we'll see if some of these cars guys can come out here and try to beat the regulars.
Yeah, I think Thomas Bean will be really good. I think he's going to go for the championship at Hickory, so
Justin
I think
Carroll
that'll be really good.
Supposed to come this week.
Justin
Jacob
will be good.
Hefner.
Yeah.
The Barry car, I think, might be there. I don't know if both of them.
Yeah, Lemke. I don't know if Josh is racing.
Be a stacked field.
Yeah, it should be a good one. I mean, if he was expecting 15 or 16 last week, I mean, we could have 20, 21, 22 this week.
Nice.
Well, I'd be happy with 15 or 16, but I think we could get 18 or 20 this week.
Let's go over it quick before, just in case people haven't made their rules yet. What is Hickory? What do you guys accept? Are you okay with what spindles? Or you're not flipped over with what springs? What's what?
Wow, Kevin's over here like, gosh,
this is what people got to know.
Before you answer that question, Guy told me earlier that he expects there to be an announcement this week from NASCAR about spindles.
Oh gosh,
do you know anything about that? Do you expect that to happen?
Generally, they pretty much let us know, but I haven't heard anything of that nature. So, I'm glad.
You are a monster.
I'm glad Roger brought that up because there's a little more in there that people don't understand.
I wanted to know.
I mean, there really is. I mean, first of all, I was a big proponent against the spindles. I didn't think that we needed that in our local racing, and what really is kind of happening here is a lot of your higher level teams are kind of pushing them on you anyway. If you don't, you're going to let me run my spindles. You're going to let me run my spindles. And, we do have a NASCAR rule book, and I know you guys aren't necessarily in favor of that book. But
well, I mean, there's nothing to be in favor or not in favor.
Right.
My point is I have just as many locals, that don't want to see them spindles as really the hit and missers that are going to come in with the spindles.
Sure.
So, we made a deal that you'd put 20 pounds on the right side if you ran the spindles.
Is that in writing somewhere?
It will be after today, probably.
Okay.
But
okay.
They know. Trust me, they know. I just have not got the addendum wrote.
Gotcha.
But the people know, and you got to understand something. That protects everybody.
I understand.
Because here's the deal. Let's say that car A comes in with the billet spindles and he wins the race. Well, if car B protests that guy, now I'm really between a rock and a hard place because if I don't accept the protest, I'm not following the book.
Correct.
If I do accept the protest, I'm throwing him out. So I can't win. By adding that 20 pounds on him, then I say it's been handled already. We've already handled it. We put 20 pounds on him. He won the race. Give him his trophy. Move on. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost a little bit of insurance. And I kind of hope that NASCAR does come out and try to fix this because it's broke. There's no question it's broke right now, and we're just trying to to do the right things by our regular competitors and others. And you know, I had a guy tell me the other day. He said, you know, how much do I have to weld on a spindle for it to be legal or fabricated? And I told him 20 pounds. He didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? So,
wow.
You know, but he has a point. You know, I mean, you know, they're trying to circumvent the rule, and that's what their job is. But you know, I don't agree with everything that comes out in the rule book. But you know, I really don't see a reason that we need those kind of spindles in there. But you know, hopefully this will get. I'm hoping this gets worked out short term, not long term. Right now, we're just doing what we feel like's right for Hickory Motor Speedway to give them a chance to race, and also protect the locals that don't have them.
Well, I mean, kind of a interesting, you know, question for you. If they come out tomorrow and say they're all legal, are you still putting 20 pounds on?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
If they come out and say they're legal, and that's more power to them. It just makes my life easier. You know?
What's the perfect scenario for you for them to do? If they're going to do something, let's say they're going to make an announcement this week, what does it need to say in order for it to be right for everybody?
Well, I don't think that that wording would be. How do I say this? It appears to me that sometimes they complicate their wording.
Sure.
When we first started the bump stop deal at Hickory Speedway, you know, we told them we're not looking anymore at this cut tape. We're not taping springs. We're not looking no more.
Right.
They said you're allowing them to hit. We didn't say we was allowing them to hit. We just said we ain't looking no more. Mm-hmm. And next year we were going to allow bump stops. So they have this big meeting, and Kilby was in the meeting, and they created a 20-line rule in the rule book on bump stops.
Yeah.
Ours is four words. Bump stops are permitted. That's all you need. And so,
right.
So you know, what's the wording? I mean, you know, they've already now everybody that had the billets, or a lot of people that's had the billets, they've went out and got the Spindle Joes because they fall within the category of being legal. So
right.
I think they've kind of you know, solved the problem themselves. And I don't see NASCAR backing up on this rule much until they get through the season. And then they always try to do things at the end of the year, not during the season. So I don't know.
Like right before Martinsville?
Well, I could be.
Is that what everybody's looking at?
I could
let's
be.
just wait till the day before Martinsville, like before the race.
Yeah. Well, I could be wrong, but I don't know. I mean, in a perfect world, it would be easier for Hickory Motor Speedway if they just said they're going to be allowed, and we didn't have to worry about this anymore. Didn't have to worry about weight or anything else. But then again, you know, when you do that, you got to keep in mind that the local racer that doesn't want to put those on there, now you've put him in a little different predicament, you know?
Do you think it actually puts him in a little different predicament? I mean, Greg Marlowe says that they run the same exact times with the old school ones as he did the new ones. So.
Durability is the only thing I'm hearing now. Yeah. It's just durability.
Well, and that's the same thing I'm hearing. They run.
C.E. Falk told me it was definitely better. You could feel it.
Well, I mean, I've heard different things, and I won't bring up names, but I've heard that they run about the same, but that the brakes run truer, and by the brakes running truer, that's a little bit of a benefit. And then I talked to a guy that bent or hit something, and you know, he's bragging. You know, he had a right to, saying, you know, the spindle was great. It didn't bend, but it bent everything else on the car. So energy is going to dissipate. It doesn't matter. Energy is going to dissipate. If it don't bend the spindle, it's going to bend the A-frame, the ball joints, the pockets on the bottom A-frames or the A-frame brackets. So, you know, you may end up spending more than the cost of that spindle to fix all the other stuff that bends. So energy is going to go somewhere, and you know, that's the fact. So I personally, if we could figure out a way to make the brakes run truer, I would probably stick with the spindles that are on the cars now. Just figure out what made them truer.
Well, what's going to accomplish that?
Roger Johnson's going to have to figure that out.
Yeah,
He's the car
we're not
builder.
getting on that in here.
So.
I mean, didn't you say you were working on some brake stuff?
I don't work on anything.
Well, okay, your employees were working on some brake stuff because God knows you don't do anything.
He's got computers in there that looks like NASA going on. You know? Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
I mean, you had Greg Marlowe in here working today. So.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
He works on the top secret stuff.
Who knew that Greg still worked?
Greg still works.
You know, me and Greg's real friends, but I don't think he's going to start not liking you after a while.
We had that conversation today.
He's still a big man.
He is a big man.
Told him, he said, hey, I ain't that far this time.
Me and Roger go to Myrtle Beach one time. We're going all out to eat, and a bunch of us, and we had the van out there. And Greg said, Corey, ride me. I said, ride Roger. He said, I said, get in the damn car.
Yeah.
I said, yes,
okay,
sir.
No
yes,
problem.
Sir.
We'll go with that.
I said, yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Debbie Bowen chiming in. She wants to know who are some of the drivers that you think will run for the track championship. I'm assuming in late models.
Well, unfortunately, anything I say here is going to be a guess because
sure.
It's just it's got to.
We'll take some guesses first.
Thomas Bean.
He's going to run for the championship over there.
Well, I think Thomas will be there. It'd be a factor.
Nice.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Charlie?
Guy's name. Charlie. I believe Charlie Watson will. The one that Dexter Senior's helping.
Yes.
He's committed to the whole season.
Yes.
If somebody can help me with that name,
I can't think of it either. Hold on.
I was trying to think.
You can't even look on his social. You don't have
you
any.
Look on Dexter. No.
He's probably listening though.
That hurt. But I mean, I knew of about 5 or 6 that I thought had a chance to pull it off. Maybe Mitch Walker.
Oh yeah,
Mitch
Walker.
He could be back. It's just so hard when you put them on the spot to remember all these people.
Sure.
But they're all great folks and they're all great supporters. Hickory Motor Speedway and me.
How many trucks? Christopher Mays wants to know how many trucks you're expecting.
Trucks have been down a little bit. We had about 6 trucks probably on an average, 7 maybe on a good night, 7 or 8. But I'm gonna tell you something. Those trucks, look at here. My daughter's telling me. Chris Hudspeth, Connor Mosack.
Yeah, look at that. That is actually, I think we just found our social media girl.
There we go.
Boom, there we go. We're in.
But the truck's been a little bit weak. But I'm gonna tell you something. I don't care if there's 4. When that green flag drops, they hate each other.
Yeah, the trucks is the wildest thing I've seen.
It's unbelievable, ain't it?
Yeah, they beat the wheels off them things.
Yep.
And you know, and I always wondered why there wasn't many, but I know it's in the past 2 or 3 years the trucks are making kind of a resurgence. I've seen more people wanting to get them. At Myrtle Beach this year, we had like 27 of them, and you know, Southeast Super Truck Series. You know, I like to see trucks make a comeback.
They're trying.
Yeah. They're a great division to watch.
Yeah.
What do you think has them so far down for you?
I think people just graduate out and or quit racing. I mean, something that we seen that kind of hurt us was, you know, anytime that you start a touring season, it affects your local track. And of course, Myers with his Southeast Super Truck Series, you know, they got a pretty good count there, 15, 16 trucks.
Yep.
And
yeah, he does.
And I would say that from the Asheville area, 3 or 4 of those guys would probably come run with us if they weren't running the tour. So it's not no hard feelings with Jeff. Jeff's a great guy to work with too, but I just think that affects the count, just like the cars affects the count in Lake Mall.
Right. Got something?
I get one?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Jump
nice.
in.
What do you think if there was one thing that you could the hardest thing about Hickory Motor Speedway, the hardest thing that nobody knows, the hardest thing that you do is what?
Weather. Hands down weather.
Because it controls everything.
You just, you
and
know.
you can't control any of it.
Right.
You're standing there and you know, it's a 50% chance of rain. And so you don't know whether to call it off or not call it off.
You're
and
the bad guy either way.
Yeah, if you call it off, the daggum sun comes out, and everybody says, "Yeah, Kevin, what an idiot! He knew it wasn't going to rain." and if you do run it, and you get a shower, you're all sitting there in the pits, and Roger's saying, "Man, the Notre Dame game's on. Come on,
That's exactly
let's
what
go,
I'm saying.
man."
That's exactly. I've actually been up in the
I've
office trying.
I've heard that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's make a decision here.
And so, you know, you just there's no win, and that's why we wait so long to make our decision, because the weather at Hickory is unpredictable, and I can tell you we've raced many times that we shouldn't have been able to race because we went for it when a lot of other tracks didn't. And this week, I mean, that's why I waited till about 9 or 10 o'clock. And, you know, really the factor of rain wasn't the reasoning that I called it off, even though I knew we would have rain. The biggest factor was the high was 40. It was going to be cloudy.
People not
it was
showing
going to
up,
be
yeah.
moist. Well, not just people not showing up. You can't get a track dry.
Yeah.
You know, you get any rain at all, you're fighting weather trying to dry a track, and nobody wants to be sitting down there in the pits while you're driving them wreckers around and around and around trying to get the track dry. So there's a lot of factors that take place, and weather's the first by far, but you just anguish at trying to get it right. You're trying to get it right. Yeah. And then the second I want to throw it in there is back to sales. The discouraging part of just trying to get people to understand what you can give them. A good example is, the cars. We run MAV TV races, which is in millions of households. And if you watched any of those events, those billboards on the backstretch were very, very easy to read. They didn't go too fast. They were nice and slow. They looked down the backstretch. A great entertainment value and, a value for your business. But they read that in my proposals, and it just doesn't seem to mean anything.
But are you selling to local businesses or businesses that can benefit by being on TV?
I'm trying to get them all. You talk to them all. There's no reason, Langley, there's no reason when you drive down 6470 and there's hundreds of businesses going down that road that Hickory Motor Speedway shouldn't succeed.
Right.
And I'm going to quote one of my sponsors, but I'm not going to tell you who they are. There's not a thing that Hickory Motor Speedway can do for them. They're a huge company that doesn't need Hickory Motor Speedway. But they do it because they want other people to know they care about the community and other businesses. That's why they sponsor Hickory Motor Speedway, and also some charity benefits, things like that. Yep. They use that to their advantage. They don't need the advertisement. But you go into a Longhorn or something, I probably shouldn't have said that. Let's say a restaurant. You go into a restaurant, and they're packed on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
And you go in there and say, look, why don't you let me help you get some people on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, when you're not packed. And they're a very self-sufficient business. They're doing well. They got no desire to spend any money there.
Right. I'm interested, and it's probably not a good question for people listening, but I'm interested.
Oh, no.
What can you do for them on Monday and Tuesday?
Well, I think that if you come to the racetrack and you say, okay, we're going to do a billboard, we're going to do some free tickets giveaways. I mean, you do those things on Monday and Tuesday. If you eat at the restaurant on Monday and Tuesdays, they're going to give away 10 free tickets each week. You can also promote that at the racetrack. Look, this restaurant has a free appetizer if you bring in this coupon from the racetrack and things. So there's avenues there, and we might walk out of this discussion with you thinking that, well, Kevin's a little dark in social media, and I am. But trust me, I lay in bed at night hours and hours and hours thinking of ideas, and I can tell you that the majority of them fail.
Sure, but that's the way it's supposed to work. I mean, the ideas you're saying are great ideas. I think. I mean, they're good ideas.
Connor Mozak is Dexter's kid.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
But I mean,
that's what I thought when he said that.
But just looking, I mean, you go down the road, we got Chili's, we got Applebee's, we got Chick-fil-A. I mean, Doc used to be there. We got all kinds of restaurants and
Start
things.
talking about food, he points at me. Great. Did it hurt, though, Kevin, when Bennett's closed? Because they were a big supporter. Used to do a lot of catering. Because been in and out of the sport. I was really surprised that they were gone.
Well, Bennett's was pre-me, so I can't really give you a lot about that. But I do know I was actually racing when Bennett's was there. Right. And Bennett's, they did the radio show there. They did the I believe they had a Miss Hickory Speedway contest, some things like that. So, yeah, they were very...
Plus, they did the catering for the VIP and special events.
They were very involved in Hickory Motor Speedway. Yeah. So, anytime you get somebody, you got to find them people that care.
Yeah.
Because if they don't care, I've got sponsors that don't even show up on the race night. I mean, I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you. They got the tickets. Yeah. They got the sweet tickets, the armbands and everything. And you go up there, you shake the general manager's hand, there's 5 people up there. Well, how you doing? Yeah, pretty good. Well, I had a lot of people out of town today, which is fine. I mean, it's their night, but it just tells you that they're not as into it as some people would. You have to love the sport like we all do.
Why? Why are they not that interested? Why do you think? Your opinion?
My opinion, they don't understand racing like we understand racing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, we're from the beginning, all of us sitting here.
Right.
We've seen the good times. Let me tell you something. There was a day that somebody made a lot of money at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Guaranteed.
And there's still somebody making money at Hickory Speedway today, but it's probably the guy that owns it. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, you know, back then you had Carolina Mills night. My gosh, you'd have 3,000 or 4,000 people from Carolina Mills. Doc knows about that.
Oh, yeah.
And other places, Shuford Mills and Sherrill Furniture. I mean, these people, we're in a society that's kind of, I think, outgrown the sport, and in their eyes, it doesn't mean that they don't watch NASCAR on TV maybe on Sunday, but they're not connected with that local short track and saying, you know, I had a company one time, it was an apparel company that I went to, and I sat down, and the guy says, we're just not interested. I said, what do you mean you're not interested? He said, we're not interested in doing an employee night. I said, you got 400 employees. We're not interested. I said, you're going to tell me that all 400 of those people don't want to come to races? Well, I don't know, but we're not interested. And he didn't do anything. Well, I know for a fact some of those people came to the races because they're the ones that asked me to go talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you just, you know, if you got a guy that's doesn't understand the sport, doesn't understand the benefits of the sport and what it was raised on, then it's very hard to talk that person into doing something that he doesn't really want to do or she doesn't really want to do.
Right.
One thing I've heard a ton about lately, and I want to know if you think it, how much weight you think it pulls, is how much weight do you think it pulls the pay structure of where racers break even? You know, I think maybe before we were hearing these big things, even the Cars Tour, right, we publicize what's on the top, 10,000 to win, 10,000 to win, 10,000 to win. Yeah. And I hate to tell you that 85% of the people that come in here on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they tell me that they're just mostly worried about breaking even. No, right? Like David Gilliland's guys, they're not worried about breaking even. But I would say, you know what I mean? 85% of the local racers. So
well, I think when they say they're interested in breaking even, that's on tires.
Correct.
Most of them don't care
tires,
about everything
pit passes, you know, whatever, right? So my biggest question to you is how much does that weigh in? In the past, I know you've caught some flack from, you know, splitting the twins and this and that and, you know, running here and there and whatever. How much, what are some of the things from your side as to why you do it like you do it? Why, you know what I mean? What's your deal? Why do you do it that way? Why is that beneficial for you?
Well, first of all, let me address splitting the twins. When you split the twins, an 80-lapper to a twin, it didn't cost that guy any more money to come run the twins than it did the other. So he's at a break even on what he's going to spend and what he's going to get back. Let me make something crystal clear. These competitors don't get enough, okay?
Sure.
The general manager doesn't get enough. The ticket stubbers and sellers don't get enough. The officials don't get enough. There is not enough pie for everybody to be able to get enough. So let me say this. I appreciate every single racer that pours his heart and soul in that racetrack and tries to get out there and race every week. But the money, you know, we live in a checks and balances. And, you know, I had a guy the other day that asked me for a raise. I'm like, if there was any more, we would give it to you. But it's just not in the pie. Now, if you can, we can all bang this social media thing and start putting 3,000 people in the stands, the pie gets bigger.
Right,
okay?
right.
And I'm a firm believer that the pie doesn't need to get bigger with tires, fuel, backgate. I'm a firm believer that the pie needs to get bigger with sponsors and fans.
Right.
Mostly fans. You know, we need to figure out a way to get these people to come back. So, you know, but we're, you know, we've been down the 2-tire deal. I mean, we've already been down that road. You know, things kind of run their course. And when we went down the 2-tire rule, it was successful for about 2 years, and then it became unsuccessful. And you say, why did it become unsuccessful? Because the junior motorsports cars and the, you know, the Leaf Hawk and the rentals out there, they can't sell rentals on a 2-tire program that these people want. They're going to spend money for rentals. They want tires. You know what I'm saying? And so that puts it a little bit of a trickier spot. Now, you don't want to just cater to those people.
Well, that's about what I was getting ready to
Okay. Well, you don't want to just cater to those people, but it comes down to what your track is seeing the most of.
Sure.
And so what we done is we went from the 2-tire program, our car count dwindled. We went back to 4 tires, our car count increased. Not just from people that rented, but other people. So other people wanted to see the 4 tires. I don't want to use this guy's name, but
but it seems like the chat says the same thing, right? I mean, the chat was a lot of people liking the 4 tires.
Well, and if you if you don't want to buy 4 tires, you drop down to limited. The Paramount races pay $600 to win, and $100 to start. Then you got a $160 set of tires or $150 set of tires, and you go.
Right. That's an interesting perspective on the tires. That's a really interesting one.
That's my business, Langley.
I understand. Jeff Ninneman, I guess that's his name. I may have butchered that, but he's got an interesting question. 604 engine supposed to be eliminated basically at the end of this year. He wants to know if you will still allow the 604 next year in late model.
Well, I think NASCAR's the goal from NASCAR when we had the track operators meeting, which I'd like to say was very successful last year, but not so successful this year. They want to get down to 3 motors: the Enforcer, the 347 Senior, and the upgrade package. I don't think you're ever going to say, "I'm sorry, you can't race here." Right. I mean, that would be a stupid move on any general manager's part. Right. So if Jeff's got a 604 and he wants to come race at Hickory Motor Speedway, I'm sure he'll be allowed.
Right. So, I mean, basically, I guess the Ford's not supposed to be allowed this year, but if somebody shows up, I mean, you're going to let them race, I'm assuming.
Talking about the Ford build?
Yeah.
Well, no, I think the Ford my understanding was they were eliminated in 2020.
Maybe I'm ahead of myself.
Okay. Here. So everything's they're supposed to have gave them 2 years. So we're on that last year, that 2 years.
All right, I got a good one for you based on a conversation you and I have had in the past. Chad Campbell, he wants to know, he says, offer track Wi-Fi and you'll gain a bunch of ticket sales. Youngsters need internet.
Okay. Well, that's a great idea, and we do have Wi-Fi through scoring, but I don't think we have a locked Wi-Fi for the office, but we don't have a public Wi-Fi. So that's definitely something that we need to look into.
Well, I will tell you one thing. People at Southern National this past weekend were absolutely miserable, and not because of anything about the racetrack. They were absolutely miserable because their cell phones didn't work and they had no internet. Well, and that's something that I think every racetrack has got to get working on really fast because you're losing people because of it.
Well, our cell phones, I mean,
I understand.
Stuff works in the pits, but, it's not a huge Wi-Fi area. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
I mean, even my phone, I have to change my phone if I go down in the pits. I have to change the setting on it to I can call in or out, but if I want to go on something on the internet, I have to change the settings on my phone. So generally from the grandstands out, you're fine. But when you get in the pit area, it's not as good as it needs to be.
Yeah, Chad says you could even charge $5 for internet access, which I don't suggest.
Yeah,
no.
Southern National did that at one time, and
I'm kind of liking this Chad guy. Just picking.
Yeah. Justin Carroll says that a race monitor would be nice to have at Hickory. A lot of tracks have it. I'm not sure what goes into getting it at the track, but it would be nice.
We have that option. We've just always chose not to go down that road yet. So. Why? We'll just you ever watch Race Monitor?
Yeah, all the time.
Half the time, data's not available, or something's
that's on the
down
that's on the end of the scores. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you, some of them work flawlessly.
Well,
Something is better than nothing. Though.
We've watched some of that, and I'm not. I can't. Once again, you're the media guy, but I mean, we've watched some of that, and a lot of times you can't half tell what's going on in Race Monitor, and I'm sure there's some that do work flawless. So.
Yeah. Something that I think would be another option if you didn't want to go the Race Monitor route would be the people there having a connection to pull it up.
They do that. That's what I was talking about. We have a Wi-Fi of our scoring in the tower that shoots down into our tech shed. And there's an IP address you can pop in and watch the race, just like what you're talking about.
Yeah, but does anybody know that?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Does anybody know it? Because I needed scoring last year, and you didn't tell me that.
Did you go to the tech shed?
No, I went to the tech shed, and it wasn't working, so that's why I had to get with you, and you didn't tell me that.
Well, my apologies, Langley, but it's supposed to be working, and the IP address is in the tech shed so that all the people can get it, okay? Gotcha. And it's not flawless either. Sometimes we do have problems with it, but it always works in the tower, and got a great guy, street stock driver, Mark Witten, that will be in the middle of practice, and we say the Wi-Fi is struggling, and he'll shoot up there right after practice and fix it usually. So.
Right. Debbie Bowen says you have to have passion. Kevin has passion. Most people don't. Alan Huffman says, I've been saying this for years. We have to figure out how to connect the teams with the fans. When fans buy into the teams competing, they create that passion, involvement, and then fill the seats and bring more of their friends. That's on the competitors, in my opinion. Well, I don't think it's completely on the competitors. I think, a lot of it comes down to the racetrack too, and I think you guys do some of the things that connects them. The autograph sessions. That's something that gives them an opportunity to connect. And I was really disappointed when Philip Morris was there last year, and I hadn't told him this yet, and I'm sure he ain't listening. But I was really disappointed that a guy of that stature didn't have his car out there. That was really, really disappointing.
Well, and that's a frustrating part. I mean, there's two avenues to that. One, we do have these autograph sessions for the people to come down and meet the drivers and things. Generally, there's only about 1/3 to one, maybe a few more that comes.
Some tracks make it mandatory.
Yeah, and but here's the deal, Langley. I shouldn't have to make that mandatory.
You shouldn't, okay? But I mean, we all know that you're a kindergarten school teacher. Okay, well, that's what you are. You have to be.
I won't go down that road, whatever you say. But my point is, sometimes they won't come out, and then when that last checkered flag flies, you can see the trailer lights in reverse, just waiting to back up to get out. And listen, I'm not throwing that out on the competitor.
Right.
I think that goes back to the society that we live in. It's about what we need to do and what we got to do. But I can tell you, when I raced, we stood down there, we put kids in our cars, we fellowshipped with them. And but some of them maybe have to drive long distances.
That's the problem with it. And Roger told me. Do you remember telling me this? They had a big the past race or something, and one of these big cup teams was there, and they still had 2 or 3 races to go. And he said, "This is the problem with racing right here. These guys are loaded up, ready to go home, aren't even watching anything else going on, and that they could care less what else was going on at the racetrack that night."
Do you pay cash or check? Do you mail the checks?
We mail if you leave us the data to mail the checks, most of ours pick them up the next Saturday or on Wednesday. When the finishing deal's over on Monday, we'll get all that sent to NASCAR Tuesday night. She does all the checks, and then they're available Wednesday to be picked up or mailed.
To me, that's part of the problem.
Checks.
People racetracks writing checks. So a guy has no reason to stay anymore. When I was at Franklin County, pretty much they just hung around because they were waiting to get paid. Money. You know what I mean? And Caraway, same way. People aren't just flooding out the gate as soon as the race is over.
I can understand your point of view, and I think you could probably pay cash, make them sign for it like the old days in the signing book.
It worked for 100 years before.
Well, I remember when they did that, but not sure the Internal Revenue Service would see the humor in that as much with the. I guess if you gave them
they have zero issues with them.
Ace Speedway still does it, don't they?
Yeah.
You
give them, they have to fill out a W-9, and then bam, you're good.
Yep. So
I mean, that's But to me, that's a problem. I mean, that's a problem that the tracks can help themselves with. If the problem is that fans can't connect because racers are leaving as soon as it's over with, well, you can fix that.
I have a question. What about racers putting T-shirts up there?
Hey, Charlie Watson sells a lot of T-shirts.
Yep.
Right.
That's what Jack McNally told us last week.
So
I heard that.
What's your thoughts on that? Is there can you do a thing? You got your daughter. She hustles hard up there, doing a bunch of different things.
From a standpoint of her selling multiple T-shirts and snowies and everything else, I don't want to overload her. However, what we tell people is to sell those T-shirts at the autograph sessions and stuff, because people are coming down there to get autographs, and it's a golden opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's a limited window, though,
Well, I mean, we got room if they want to put somebody up top, but that's a question that really hasn't been proposed to me yet.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's cool, though. That's good. Reach out to Kevin. Blast him on social.
I won't see it.
I was going to say, how's he going to find it?
Well, somebody will be smart enough to see it.
Somebody will show it to him.
Send it to Langley. He'll forward it.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I think we've went over your hour here.
Yeah, we gave you an extra time.
We're fine. I appreciate you.
We're fine.
So, hey, you've been asking me for 2 months to come on, so get them all out now. You got your chance.
No, I'm glad you came.
I think we've got most of the questions and things that we wanted to, get out there, and the response has been really good. I mean, you've had the chat board lit up more than I think anybody we've had. I mean, I've sat here, there was 24 comments, and I was sitting here waiting to get to one as the conversation went, and there was 24 that stacked up right behind it. So,
well, we got a great group of folks that work at Hickory and that race at Hickory and officials, and our fans are the best in the world. and I just appreciate all of them. So, you know, it's a difficult business to be in, but we're not gonna back down and throw in the towel. We're gonna keep pushing forward. And you know, I know you guys addressed fighting on here the other day, and
Sure.
you know, it's common sense. Fights bring people. People
Yes.
want to
Sure.
see fights, but you need to understand, because I want to clear this up as the general manager of Hickory Speedway. You know, you can only let that go so far out of hand, because if somebody gets hurt, you're ultimately the one responsible. Because they say, well, Kevin, I mean, his guys just stood there and watched him fight. You know
That's
what
why
I'm
you let Zach Brunninger in.
saying? Yeah, well, that's probably another
Right.
story. For
No,
another
I
day.
understand that, but right? Isn't that not why you let him in? And he takes care of it himself.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, you guys had it. Yeah. Zach had his time on here. So.
Yeah. That was well done, Kevin.
I like the story Zach told, because he stopped just short of you know, he told you what you wanted to hear anyway.
Wow. You want to tell us the rest of the story?
Well, now, I don't want to muddy the waters, but you know, it's kind of like if Billy gets hit on the playground, and he goes over and tells his teacher. He says, "Hey, Jimmy hit me," and the teacher goes over and says, "Why'd you hit Billy?" And he said, "Well, 'cause Billy hit me first." So you know, there's always another side to that story. Okay, so
that's awesome.
But Zach's a great guy, and you know, he does bring excitement to the racetrack.
Yeah, people
love him.
Right.
So, but it's fun. He's fun to be around.
I feel hesitation in his voice.
Well, I told you I don't want to muddy the water.
No, I'm with you.
I understand. Debbie Bowen says she can do the T-shirts. She said, and Alan Huffman is going to get her to sell T-shirts if you're okay with it there. So maybe that's an avenue for you.
We need to open that up to everybody if they're going
Right.
to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just one. I mean, everybody.
Sure.
And of course, you know, the track sells T-shirts too.
Right.
So you know, we already do that.
Start some merch business.
Yeah.
Right.
You sell them online?
We don't do that yet.
Right.
It's one of those e-commerce things
Come
you've
on.
been
Yeah.
promising.
If you can get the teams out there selling,
holy cow.
every week after Bowman Gray's over, they're selling fives of tens of thousands of dollars of T-shirts in the pits.
It's because all those teams stay for
Yeah.
a long time after the race.
And they get paid cash, correct? Pretty positive.
Well, I mean, I probably got
positive.
that much in my front pocket, but you know, yeah, they get paid
Yeah.
a little bit.
Ish.
Yeah.
They get paid cash-ish.
Cash-ish, yeah.
Sometimes it's change.
And the sweet taste of victory, some Krispy Kreme donuts, you know.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
they're not there for the money.
They actually took that away now, so.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't get donuts no more?
Nah, I think they took it away a couple years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is sad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody likes Krispy
Right.
Kreme.
I mean, how do you go wrong? How do you go wrong with Krispy Kreme?
For sure. All right, you guys got anything else to ask Evan?
No, I think we've tortured him enough.
I'm just happy he came. Y'all was
Yeah.
acting like he was scared to come. I was like,
He
why is
was
so
scared to come. I asked him 5 times to come. He wouldn't come.
He's busy. He's
He's
busy.
I fear no Langley.
But he does fear Corey.
Yeah.
We have figured that part out.
Me and him's friends. I mean,
Corey's my friend.
Yeah.
Corey, Roger, all of you is my friends. Doc and all of you. So, you know,
Man, they're going to use that against me now.
yeah.
I appreciate everything
Yep.
you guys do for the sport, and you know, and like I say, I appreciate all the supporters that come to Hickory Motor Speedway. So, looking forward to the season opener. I think if you miss this one, you're going to be missing something pretty special.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
going to be
tell us where people can find more information about Hickory this weekend.
We'll be putting our schedule out tomorrow morning. Generally do that on Tuesdays. Generally we have open practice 9 to 12. Gates open at 1, and then we start our regular practicing from 2 to 4:30. Qualifying at 5. Gates open at 4:45. Racing starts at 7. Tickets are $12.50 for adults, $10.50 for seniors and teens, and kids 12 and under get in free.
I got another question for you
There
before
you
I let you go. You think it's why do you race at night so early? All the rest of the racetracks they try to run a day race. Why do you try to run at night?
I love it.
You love the question?
I love it because every time you tell me, remember you drive up in the golf cart and say, Corey, look, you're going to make it home before the 11 o'clock news comes on, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
And
about.
Hickory's one of the best run shows I've ever been to.
We pride ourselves on trying to be done by 9:30 or 10 o'clock. You know, it's a little iffy here in the earlier months because, we look at the temperature. It's supposed to be like 54 on Saturday, and it's not supposed to get too cool. We'll have a little sunlight out there, for 7 to 8 o'clock now with the time change. And so hopefully we'll be done by about 9:30 or 10. And we just have not had a lot of luck getting people to come out earlier in the day to like a 3 o'clock show. You know, one year we moved our starting time up a half an hour to try to draw more people in, and boy, it was a disaster. I mean, they just I don't know if everybody was set on 7:30 or what the deal was, and but it just didn't work out for us.
Maybe it's just a consistency thing for them.
Yeah,
probably
so.
Probably same fans. We get that same group that is used to doing it that way over and over and over. You know what I'm saying?
It's those old people who read newspapers.
Yeah,
all 4 of them.
I had to. I couldn't help it.
I'm gonna have to send him one, ain't I?
Yeah. Greg Marlowe said earlier that he was looking forward to paying his fine. So.
Oh yeah, that was the other day. Yeah.
Greg's on the book, so he's
on the book.
Said he took care of it or something.
Yeah.
He, you know, I try to be fair, and you know, we judge it based on the situation. You know,
our photos probably didn't help his case much, did it?
Well, I mean, Greg's a big guy. I'm glad he's on my side. You know what I'm saying?
No kidding.
So
I'm working on him not being on my side. I got
you are hard working on him.
Yeah, but no, we try to be fair and take all account for everything, and especially when the sheriffs come to take charge. If you listen and they get them separated and there ain't no problems there, there probably won't be many problems in the future.
You know, that's something else. I heard a bunch of flack about the 2 sheriffs there, and I've known them for many years, and they're the coolest 2 dudes I ever met in my life.
Yeah, I ain't never had a problem
They're
with
the
them.
coolest dudes. They shake my hand every time I see them and come up and laughing and cutting up. If you don't do nothing stupid will happen to you.
Well, I think we all know that you know, if you don't cause problems, you don't have problems. But I will say this: I mean, you got to understand, we use the Catawba County Sheriff's Department, great folks, Donnie Houston and all his guy, but they're the actual sheriffs that are in the county, and so what you deal with there is they're used to dealing sometimes outside of the track when you got to snuff that little spark out before it comes a full-blooded fire. So they do snuff the sparks out in the infield really, really quick before they become a full-blooded fire.
Listen, they're for real too. I was on a slanting bridge road on the other side of Denver, which is Catawba County. And we rolled up coming home from a race at Greenville Pickens, and it was all your group that works at Hickory, and they were tasing people and hooking them up with handcuffs. It was awesome. They had a couple Spanish people that didn't have green cards. They had them laying in the ditch. We rolled up. They got cars everywhere. It was the guys from your racetrack. We roll up, and I think it was Aaron and I, and we rolled up, and they're like, hey, how you guys doing? Oh, you're at the races? Yeah. Well, we go through. There's all these people cuffed and stuffed all over on Slant Ridge Road in Denver.
I'm going to graciously stay completely out of that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
There's no good going to come in a comment.
After the green card comment, I would stay clear of that one.
No, it was the truth. They said they had some people that didn't have the proper identification.
All right, Kevin, we're going to let you get out of here, and we're going to jump on with Nathan Lineback here in just a second. But we appreciate you coming out.
I appreciate you guys, and look forward to seeing you on Saturday, Langley.
Absolutely.
Thank you, buddy. Okay.
That was Kevin Piercy, General Manager of Hickory Motor Speedway. Looking forward to a big-time season opener for Hickory this weekend. Sounds like got a lot of cars coming, Corey. Corey, where are you headed this weekend?
I'm going to go to South Boston for the opening race, and then probably go to Caraway on Sunday. But Kevin knows I'll be there 8 or 9 times this year probably.
Yeah,
so.
Is Bowman Gray not racing this year?
Huh?
Bowman Gray's off.
I don't go there every race.
I couldn't resist, man. I mean,
you're on it today, huh?
I couldn't resist. I mean, why let him away with that one? Because I guarantee you, if Mike Jones is still listening, he'll agree with me 100%. I mean,
tell Mike Jones come on down. I'll find him a car.
Yeah, well, I mean, yep. Mike Jones,
LOL,
jumped in right here. Hey, he did say earlier that he was very interested in doing that ride-along car. So,
okay, I'll see if I even have that.
Hey, got a good one for you. A guy called me the other day, and he said we got to get Corey in a race car. He said I'm even willing. I won't tell you who it is till we get it done. We're gonna get it done. Roger and I, we're gonna get a car for you to drive. And he said if you can get into a certain second bracket within like 10 seconds of what everybody else runs, I believe.
10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean we know you're checking. So.
I drove a car a few times.
Yeah, that Jeep thing of yours or whatever it is, Montero, it don't count.
Yeah, no. I drove a race car a few times. Anyway.
What race car have you drove? I got to know.
I drove a modified.
Who was dumb enough to let you in a modified?
It was a school thing, but the school wasn't going on. It was like, here, you just want to drive this, and I'm like, sure. And it was a tour mod. That was pretty fun. And
wow,
drove Cup car a few times, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
that's about it.
You go.
Were you about to rival Richard Petty for 200 wins? Or?
No, actually, like I was telling the other day, went to that Buck Baker driving school in the first year I had the ARCA race back when Rockingham opened back up in 2004 or whatever it was, and I've never been to an ARCA race, and I went down the pits, and after you get about past 12th place, you start looking, and you got to get a Technoshot to touch the cars.
Gosh, almighty.
Well, my fastest time that day at that Buck Baker thing, which was the craziest damn thing, I went there and I said, "Has anybody been before?" And the guy, my buddy, said, "Just raise your hand." They said, "Yeah." They said, "You 5, take off." They just throw you in race cars and you start
you go now.
Yeah, and we're probably driving cars. Probably had 300 or 400 laps on tires, and I would have qualified like 14th or 15th for the ARCA race in that piece of junk car.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how bad they fell off in that thing.
That just tells you how slow 14th or 15th is.
It was. I mean,
it was there. The first time ARCA was yeah.
It was bad.
Joey Logano was
bad.
lapping cars, and
Right.
it looked dangerous. It was scary.
It was bad.
He was lapping cars on the caution laps. I mean, they were way off the pace.
Venturini car.
And when you look at the cars that were qualified in the top 10, 15, then past that, I mean, they look like Bowman Gray type cars.
Isn't that the same?
Yeah, I don't like to bust on the series, but
at
that particular time, they look
that,
rough.
that race the other night, did you see my comment? The last 6 cars in that race started the other night. By lap 1 was half a lap behind. They just took the green and started lap 1. They were half a lap
It's not
behind.
any different.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's what it is.
Debbie Bowen says she's disappointed you're not coming to Hickory this weekend. So
I'll be there a few times this year.
Yeah, we expect to see you when Bowman Gray's off. So.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna.
If you show up at any racetrack this year, I'm gonna be really surprised.
Hey, I was at Southern National. Where were you?
You've already went to one more than you went in the last 4 years.
Hey, I was at Southern National. Where were you?
Drove in the snow uphill both ways.
Boys.
I was driving I was driving back from Southern National.
I was at Greenville last week. Where were you?
Huh?
All right, get it back on the trails here. We got another guest. We got another guest. Let's bring him on.
All right. He's probably over here thinking, God, I hope they don't grill me like they did Kevin.
They won't.
Bringing on Nathan Lineback, limited late model driver at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Yes,
welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, we're glad to get you on here and get more people knowing your name because I think you'll get out there and make a name for yourself this year, man.
Well, we sure hope so. I've kind of been a guy that's underrated kind of. We run up there at Hickory quite a bit. We're a top 10 car about every week, really. I think we ran there 4 times last year after Caraway kind of quit or had some issues, and we went up there to Hickory. We thought it was a track that would suit me well, consider it's wore out, really have to be a driver racetrack, and overall, when we went up there, that first test was a little bit of a struggle, because Hickory's just a different place from everywhere. And, we went up there, had some decent success. We finished 8th twice, finished 7th, and then the 6th. So we're hoping to break inside the top 5 here at this season opener, for sure.
Hickory's got to be a tough place to go and run really good. I mean, with all the limiteds that race there. And last year, at the beginning of the season, I don't know about the end because I didn't make it but one race at the end of the year. But, man, they have a – good day.
Oh, well, you've seen the good parts. You're good.
Yeah, the
what are you talking about?
The carnage at the beginning of the year was pretty wild, so –
Up there, I mean, it's really different because I came out of Caraway really that season, second place in points down there, and for going to Caraway, it was kind of single file, everybody wanted to do their thing, not really get into much, issues, I guess what you call it. But going to Hickory, man, I'd get qualified like 14th and have a wreck about every 5 laps, it seemed like, just really struggle. And, but the wrecks actually helped me, really. I enjoyed having the wrecks, believe it or not. We were able to pick up good positions, because once I got by him, you ain't getting back by. So
there you go.
Corey, I think he means by he missed him.
Oh, yeah, I missed him. Well, it's kind of like the stadium in a way, you see the wreck and then you try to drive by best you can,
I said, I like the Rex. I said, well, I like this guy right here. Balls to the wall, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm about over at the stadium about every other week. If I'm off at Hickory, I'm at the stadium. I see you quite a bit. So
you raced Ace a little bit, too, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've Ace is actually where I started, believe it or not. Started down there when I was like 13. nobody remembers that. I started in a 1988 Dillon Copy car. It was an old 3-link car that my dad used to drive in the 90s, and we went down there. We had a couple test sessions, and I'm not a natural talent by no means. I had to learn a lot. I'm just
going to be good for a video clip later.
That's awesome.
I'm straight up honest with you. I'll be honest, but I learned a whole lot. The past couple of years racing with a lot of different guys, Mac Little, and those kinds of guys, and just following them and trying to learn as much as possible. But down there at Ace was a real one-groove racetrack, a lot of grip, and just really threw me for a loop my first time, in that 3-link car. And we went out there for, I think, qualifying the first night, and I was 13. And we come up off of 4, and I lost control of the thing and knocked the wall down, almost took down the flag stand with it. So I'm about the only person to knock down that flag stand. I can tell you that right now. That's not no fun feeling.
Wow. I like this guy's honesty, man.
Yeah, I do too.
Hey, if I can be open and honest with you, I'm willing to
Tell
be.
us about your team, right? Tell us about it's a family deal, huh?
Yeah, it's totally all my family. My grandparents.
They work hard.
Yeah, they fund the whole thing. For me. It's my sister. She does a lot of our media, kind of little media stuff we do.
Understand.
And my mom, she's going to sell our T-shirts this year. We got brand new T-shirts, which I'm wearing one now.
Nice.
But I have the jacket
you didn't bring
on.
none for us?
He's got the merch game going.
You brought
hey,
no
I got
merch.
them at the shop.
No merch for us.
I'll sell it to you for $12.
I'll sell
He is right here, buddy.
Yes, sir, and I'll take one.
Hey, when
I'll
I come
take
up
one
here,
for
he charges
$12.
me. I got to charge him, back,
I have never charged you for a T-shirt.
That's great. That's great.
T-shirts,
That's
I got to buy
great.
race car parts. You give me a free bumper. I use them up all the time.
He would never. I've been waiting on a sweatshirt for 3 years now.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
you might get
Go
that
ahead,
sometime.
No, I
say
better
it.
not tell him.
Say it, Langley.
No.
Yeah. I have the mother load hopefully coming.
Hopefully coming.
LJ Designs has got him some new swag on the way. Here
Sent him
for
an email
PRW.
today.
So maybe you'll have to trade him to get one of his.
You get a
Trade
Duck
it.
Graphic
Get a
shirt right there.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That was awesome. Sell you one for $12.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'll buy it. Bumper bars are going up.
Going up $12.
Yeah. 1 week only.
I got nothing at the house right now. We're good. We're good for about a month or so, hopefully.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I can outweight you.
Oh yeah, I know you can. I definitely know. Yeah, most definitely.
Jeez.
Now we know it's a family, race team and things like that. Everybody's involved, but a lot of young folks that we have on the show and we watch and race and started in go-karts and worked way up. Tell us how you got to that point to get in the full-size car. What got you to this point?
Well, actually, I didn't. I started out in limited. I haven't been in anything other than a limited or a late model my whole career. Like I said, I started out down there at Ace with that old car, and we kind of just, after I wrecked that first car, we kind of just built, what we have. We bought a used Ortec car at the time. It's an old race car. It's about a 2010 now.
Wait a minute. You just started out. What made you say, hey, you know what?
I
I'm
was
going
gonna
to drive
be
this thing right here. Just let's just jump in this and go.
I really can't tell you that. Really, I mean, it's really hard for me to say because the car sat over my great-grandmother's basement for years, and it was just under a car cover. It had dust collected all over it, and I used to just go over there and sit with it, just kind of sit in it and get the feel for, that car. And my dad one day was just like, hey, the car hadn't run in like 16 years. He goes, do you want to go out in the backyard and just play with the thing? Because my grandfather has a huge pasture in his backyard. And so we took the thing up top of the hill, and he said, here, just go for it. And the car, I don't know how the car started, but it started somehow. And we, they just let me kind of mess around with it, and that's what kind of got me involved and just kept progressing. Really, that's what it is.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's
awesome.
That is awesome.
If people don't know your grandparents, they should definitely
awesome.
talk to them at the racetrack, right? You've probably never met some great people that are race fans.
Well, I appreciate that, yeah.
That are down to earth, good human beings. I mean, they're just great people.
They're cool, yeah.
Yeah, they are cool. I like it when they come in.
Oh, it's sometimes hard. My grandpa, man, he's really, when he gets, hyped up or something, he's going, And my grandmother's over there like, why don't you just calm down, just bring it down a level here.
She's awesome.
Oh, yeah. She keeps the peace in the family for sure.
Yeah. Wow. What made you decide to move from Ace to Caraway when you moved there?
Really, we ran Ace for several years, and they kind of just had those struggles, where the track was in business, out of business.
Sure.
And we were there through all of that, really.
Right.
About maybe the third time there, we finally just said, we got to try something new. We weren't really having that much success down there, with the racetrack style. So we moved to Caraway, and as soon as we moved to Caraway, we were a decent car. We weren't running on bumps or nothing. The car was just straight up coilover car, just an old 2006, I believe, is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we went down there, and we had some pretty decent success. Top threes about every week. The last race I've ever run down there is a little old bitty 20-lap feature they threw in. And we led 19 laps, and I got moved on the last one. It wasn't a good deal, but that's life.
And I assume that would have been your first win.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I'm still searching for it. Hopefully, we can get it this year. We definitely have a good enough car, this year that we are capable of doing that. We put a lot of work into it in the off season. We bought the best stuff we can possibly buy to put on it.
Right.
And we've, worked countless hours on this car to, give us the best possible chance.
Now, is that the same car you mentioned, the 2006?
Well, we actually have 3 different cars. They're all used. They were all bought used. Nothing's really new. We got a 2010 Ortec. We got an 06 Townsend. And then we also got a 13 PRW.
Gotcha.
So they're all kind of on in years.
Which one's the best?
Definitely the 13 PRW.
You're just trying to make up.
No, I'm not making it up. To be honest with you, that car, when we first bought it, we took it to a test session, and the thing just shocked me. The car doesn't feel like any other car that you've driven. It really doesn't. The car feels like a feather to drive, to be honest with you. The steering, I can do steering with one finger if I really want to. That's just how well the car's, put together for us. And my other 2 cars are kind of a bear. They really are. We went to Caraway, and I think we ran out of power steering one night, and I just had to manhandle the thing. It was really bad. And Caraway's not a place you really want to manhandle the racetrack.
Yeah.
It ain't no fun going off into 3 with no power steering, that's for sure.
Wow. Debbie Bowen wants to know what your car number is.
Number 71.
Dylan Hauser said that finally someone followed his career path to jump in and just go tear up stuff.
That's right. Yep.
and Dylan Hauser's good at that.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's what he did.
Hey, you got to go for it sometimes. That's the only option.
I think his first race ever was UAR race at Tri-County. His first race ever in a race car ever in his life.
Jesus, that's really jumping in fire.
And had a street stock motor in his car. Yeah.
He was really
and made the race.
Wow.
Yep.
That's some pretty good stats right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't know that was his first race.
I think it
maybe
was
he'll
his
tell us.
very first one.
Maybe he'll tell us if you're wrong. But,
he'll for sure tell me if I'm wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't believe he didn't tell Kevin he was wrong. I was waiting for that. I figured Hauser would get on Kevin.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
A little disappointed. Disappointed.
Jumping on there with me now.
Greg Marlowe says you're his new hero. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
That's
not
good stuff.
stepping up in the world. I can tell you that right
now. I don't know if I'd consider that stepping up in the world or not.
For me, yeah, most definitely.
Hey, now you can stand behind Greg while he whips Langley's ass.
Yeah, sure.
He might even
I've seen Greg a few times. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to be on it. That's how.
You just lost.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Wow. Anyways, you said that the car was just setting. Where'd the car come from? You said your dad raced or something? Take us kind of through the lineage there.
My dad started running about 1990 is when he ran. He started with an old Busch car is what it was. It was run by Robert Huffman. It was a number 75, and it was an old Pontiac is what it was. He ran at Caraway. Was his first ever start in the late model, series. And my dad, same as me, first night down there at Caraway, he goes off into 3, and he tears the right front, come over the windshield, sat right where his steering wheel is. He wrapped the steering wheel around the column and lost his glasses during that process. So me and my dad kind of take after one another. I hate to say it, reckoning our first outing. But overall, my dad, he was a very good driver. We've got videos of him running Ace from years ago, and he had a lot of opportunities to drive then, and it was pretty much him and his Pa and Nan, my grandparents. They did everything on their own. My dad worked to keep up the car. and it was pretty much a 3-person team out of Walkertown at the time, and they did what they could at that time. But
gotcha.
Overall,
Chad Campbell wants to know if you have any plans to run any other tracks like South Boston, Ace, or Orange County now.
Currently, we're just planning on running Hickory for selected events. Those selected events are the Big Ten Challenge, and then we will also run the Fall Brawl. That'll make 11 shows for us, and our budget's just not big enough to be able to kind of travel like we would like. But
right, yeah, that's understandable. I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to make all these shows, man. I mean, Hickory runs a lot of races.
Well, overall, I mean, I've looked at budgets, for late model teams, low profile race teams, and then us, and I mean, we're spending as much money pretty much as they are to run limited, because our cars have to be as good, really. I mean, because you got guys up at Hickory, like Gage Painter that one season, like last season, won 6 races.
Right.
You got to be able to step up to the plate and be able to compete,
Sure.
So it's kind of hard. You kind of got to build up and get to their level. And you really don't know where they're at that step yet, because he was a rookie, I think, last year or so. And
I think so.
Coming in, and he had a very good race car. I mean, he really did. And I followed him several laps in practice trying to just, see what he did different from me, because I try to learn off everybody I can, especially if, they're a top 5 car. I can go out there and kind of learn a little, I'll apply it to my driving style and hopefully maybe pick up a 10th or so during the race.
Yeah. What driver, I know you mentioned Mac Little earlier, what driver have you learned the most from?
Oh, man. When I ran Ace, probably when I started, there was 2 late model drivers I used to go out and practice with all the time. R.D. Smith was one of them, and Barry Begley. I tried to follow Barry.
Oh, there you
don't
go.
Get much better.
Let's just shut it down, right? I mean,
I tried to
R.D.
follow
Smith at Ace 2 is not a bad pick, right?
I tried. No, I mean, I didn't hang with him for long, but
sure.
I mean, I tried to, hang with them enough to be able to see. That's what I always try to do. If I can just see what they're doing, and learn just a little bit, that'll help me improve.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you can't physically see what they're doing, see what they're trying to achieve, then you really ain't going to ever improve yourself, really. I mean, at all. So, but RD was a big one, and so was Barry, and they tried to help me with any question I had. They tried to really help me out, as well as my father at Ace. He had a lot of races down there before it was, reconfigured to the new version it was.
Right.
But they all tried to help me as much as they can and give me as much knowledge as I could. So
yeah, when you say reconfigured, that was a long time ago. So he definitely raced a long time ago there, because that was done in 1999.
Well, it used to be like 3/8, and then it went to 4/10, and my dad ran the 3/8.
Had grass on the front straightaway.
Yeah.
They
had those telephone poles down there in like 1 and 2. That's when my dad ran down there. My dad said, when you go down in the corner down there, you didn't want to hit the telephone pole. That's all you were looking for. You hit the telephone pole, your night's done.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I think it stands to reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your night is done for sure. Since you've been at Hickory, who have you learned from the most there?
Well, see, I've only went out mostly at Hickory with the limited cars, because, I mean, Hickory, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to, mix divisions.
Right.
But I would say following Pat Rachel's was a big help to me up there.
Yeah.
Pat, he's just really versatile. I mean, he can run the top, he can run the bottom, he can run an arc line in and then come off on the bottom if he needs to. And overall, he's just one of the very few drivers I've seen really be able to run the top up there and be competitive with it and save tire like that.
Were you surprised to see him step up to late model?
Actually, I just found out about that a couple minutes ago. I was really excited.
Yeah. I figured you would.
That eliminates one more in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, yeah.
You don't have to pass
him. There's 5th right there.
Right there. Boom. He dropped the mic on him right there.
There you go.
Wow.
Hey, I finished 6th like my last outing. Right there's 5th.
Yeah,
hey.
nice.
Moving on up, man.
Hey, man. Moving up in the world, that's for sure.
Process of elimination.
Hey, man.
Wow. What do you... Jeez.
It's going downhill quick.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It was good. It
was
really
good.
You've had some of the best one-liners we've had on the show.
We're going to use these throughout the
Hey.
whole thing. I appreciate it, really.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Great.
I'm here for you,
Might make him an every week host.
Wow. What do you think? I know you said you're working hard
Mm-hmm.
during the winter, trying to pick up your program. What do you think is going to take for you to get to that next level? I know you say you want to get to top 5, but what's going to put you in the top 3 and get you to a win?
Hopefully. Now, hopefully, like I said, we've made so many improvements this winter that, I mean, it's just pretty much astronomical the change that car's made.
Right.
I'm hoping that some of those improvements, will carry over to this week's race and hopefully, pick up, some tenths at least.
Right.
But overall, the first test session we had there, I don't even know what it was, like last week or so. We went up there, and I didn't really get to practice my primary car at all. It had a bad issue, and we had to go back and regroup and fix it. But overall, I had my backup car there, went out and run some laps. And I think really what was hurting me in the long races, the 50-lap races and things like that, was just my driving style at Hickory. I'm used to, Caraway, you kind of got to get to the bottom and run a bottom groove up there. And, at Hickory, you can kind of move around. You're very versatile. And especially going into 3, you can burn your stuff up just going into 3 and then exit a 4 very easily up there, because you got to have a real high line in order just to save, just to be able to conserve anything for the end of a race like that. So overall, I hope it's just mostly me or, the things that we've improved on the car. And then, we'll just have to wait and see come the 16th, really. I mean, that's about all we can do at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate you saying that. You feel like it's mostly you.
I really do. I mean, because, like I said, my dad.
Nobody ever says
that.
No, they don't.
I'm gonna be honest.
It drives me absolutely crazy.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, because my dad was raced with Robert Huffman a long time ago. My dad happened to be up on the spotter stand with him when Landon was running a race. Well, anyway, Robert had pointed out to my dad that I was running a low line. Well, for me in the car, when you're in, that environment and your adrenaline's going, you're not really thinking of a whole lot other than I want to get this guy in front of me, and that's it.
Right.
You're not thinking about, hey, this is the wrong line and it's not going to work out for me here come lap 49, you know? So my dad constantly has to, just tell me, get me back in the right mindset, because if not, I'll just race the thing so hard every lap, that I'll wear it out. I mean, really, I will. Because I push, I try to push the car as hard as it'll go in order, to be in the position to win the race.
Sure.
And I think that's what hurts me at Hickory, being the racetrack is so wore out, so abrasive, that I push it too early and then kind of just fall apart at the end of the run. And that's, I think what's been killing me, whereas at Caraway you had a little bit of grip, it was a little less than ace, but, you were actually able to do that, push real hard and not wear out your stuff as easy.
Who do you think is going to be your biggest competition at Hickory this year?
I know Gage is, I think, running 5 races this year, and then
I think he's not old enough, right, to run
the
car store or something.
Ain't he 13 this year? 13,
yeah.
So he's looking to move up to the car store stuff, I know. But for opening night, I feel like Gage is going to be up there most definitely. I was going to say Pat, but I found out he was, up to late model, so that kind of took
Dodged
that out.
a bullet there.
Yeah, I did. So, I mean, the ones I know of right now would be, most definitely Gage will be a front runner. And then I used to run with Cody DeMarbles. Cody DeMarbles was a very good one. He was very quick inside the top 5 about every week. I would say he'd be a front runner as well. So.
Yeah, got you.
That's it. Now, that's if he comes and, who shows up.
Sure. I mean, I guess you never know who's going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, well, on a given week, you had the few. Like last year, you had Gage, Vince Midas, you had Pat. Well, there's your 3. You kind of figure they're going to be, inside the top 3.
Sure.
In some way, shape, or form about every week, and that's who we got to beat.
Monty Cox should be there too, shouldn't he?
He moved up to late model last year.
Yeah.
Huh?
He moved up to late model
last year. Yeah, he moved up to late model. Well, he ran like one
if you got out of
race.
Bowman Gray a couple times last year, you'd have known he was
about,
in late model.
right, it's getting a little wore out now.
The Bowman Gray thing?
I mean, Jesus,
rock it, dude. I'm cool with it. Rock it out. Just say it. That's what I do. I go over there and I pound beers and take pictures. Right? I mean, just say it. And I'm cool. I respect it.
I like 7 racetracks last year.
And I think that's cool. Just come out and say it, right?
He's a true stadium fan.
I went to 7 racetracks last year.
And he rags on me, and I went to like 14 or 15 last year.
You did not.
I did.
14 or 15 racetracks.
For what, Greyhounds?
No.
Come on, man.
What, you saw Rogers' horses? What?
Right.
No.
Right.
I don't want to see it running in the back.
Wow.
Ouch.
Wow.
Felt that from here.
Yeah. That was tough. And we're dark now.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is meant to be a compliment or not. I'm actually pretty sure it's not. I don't really know. Philip Gouge said that you and Zach Bruinger would make great teammates.
Wow.
Man, he is silent.
Dead silent.
Completely silent.
I think
I'm going, on one half I'm
you know
going,
what?
yeah, and then I'm going,
you know what? I'd take
should I
Zach
say that
Brenner.
or not,
I would take him all day because when I needed somebody crashed.
Wow, yeah.
Like I think people underestimate him. He don't care.
Well, he is.
Right? So why would you not want that dude on your team?
Well, he's very calculated with his moves, too. Watching him throughout.
I'd be a teammate with him because I'd key up and be like, listen, he touched me again.
Oh,
boom! That's it.
Well, if you also think about it, he's very aggressive just, when he's riding.
Right.
What I
That's
call
what I
riding.
mean.
So he'll move anybody, however early in the race it is.
I'd take that dude.
If you're behind him, you gain in positions,
Right.
every couple
follow
laps.
him to
This
the
is a
front.
plus.
Clear me a path.
Yeah. And then,
he's got the math figured out on how to gain position.
I like
Hey,
it.
you gotta-
Right, without passing anybody. I like it.
Yeah.
I ain't got to pass them, they just wreck.
Somebody else do the hard work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
Speaking of Zach, do we have a baby yet?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
What?
Oh.
Not that I know of.
Wow, that
Just
got
wanted to
real.
find out.
That got real.
Kyle Barnes, he chimed in, said he's coming to play in limiteds at Hickory this year.
Oh, cool.
He said he's looking forward to trying the place out for a second time. So Kyle
cool,
will be
cool.
good, I'm sure.
Yeah, he will.
He's good pretty much everywhere he goes. Running the Southeast limited deal with.
He used to run
the
late
truck
models,
section.
though, didn't he? As well? Or?
Yeah.
I think he dabbled
Found
with
it.
it.
He did run late models, but I don't know if he
Yeah,
ran
I
late
don't
models
know.
at Hickory. But and just for the record, Corey, Dylan Hauser said that you're wrong. It was his second race. But
Second race.
You were close. You were
Oh,
close.
well.
Second
He said,
race.
"Don't ask him how it ended."
Oh.
He got wrecked by a girl, I think.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right. That's a long time ago, but I believe I'm right.
That would have.
I didn't want to say that out loud, but I think you're right.
He got wrecked by a chick. But anyway.
Well, the comments might get good now, with Dylan here.
Who wrecked him? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I can't remember.
You remember?
I don't remember either.
We need
Rebecca Caston, maybe?
if Andy had been there, he'd know every woman.
Might have
So,
been. Yeah, Andy would know.
Every female driver, man. Yeah, on point here. Debbie Bowen said no.
Creepy in a new way. Right? That was creepy.
You look out your window, all you see is a forehead and some eyes.
Right. That was creepy in a whole new way. Man.
Looking through the window.
I'm pretty sure tonight's show is going to be our last.
Yep, there's two
it
people
just went
listening
downhill.
Well, at least I got on it before it quit.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
what I'm saying.
I love this kid. I love this kid.
Yep. Made the
Got
last
something
episode.
out of it right there.
Made the last
Oh,
episode.
Dylan Hauser said, "Give me a break." She had a Ford crate, and I had a 602.
Oh, so it was a girl, and now we have excuses for it.
I would not have admitted that, but okay.
Hey, he's about like me, just open honest about it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, in his case, hopefully it's not with yours, but in his case, he's too dumb not to. So, just saying.
Hey, man. Leave him alone. He's a good dude.
Man.
Debbie Bowen said, "No baby yet."
And I talked with him last week. That's bad.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. All right. Well, we got to get to Chris Ragle on the phone, but you
forgot
guys got anything else you want?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. You live
Yeah,
over just north of Winston-Salem, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
traveling over here to Hickory to race. Is it hard to come to a facility where you hadn't been able to get your name out there yet until we get you on a show like this to get some fans, to get some support?
Well, mostly, I hate to say it, but my fan base was, never been big. It's just mostly friends, family that I know. My grandparents on my mother's side come about to every race, we run. I've had Al Hill over at the stadium. He come and run, come watch me. His daughter Susan, they come watch me. It's mostly just friends and family that see me. And I'll go up in the stands, talk to people if, they come up to me. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. I'm open, talking.
What do you think, guy? I think he's gaining a lot of fans tonight.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Getting ready to go viral. Just wait till this thing podcasts.
Well, like I said, I go up there with my, my grandparents. As soon as the race is over, I try to run up there and see them because, they want to go home.
Sure.
Really, because they've been there for like 3 or 4 races. They're ready to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So I'll go up there, sit with them, and I'm open, honest, with anybody. Come up to me, talk to me, ask me a question. If I've wrecked somebody, don't. But
Oh no, that's what we're going to ask you.
Oh no, I don't want no questions then. I'm somebody else. Because some people, they come up to you and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna knock your teeth out." I'm like, I'm not into that.
That's not me.
Good run's better than a fight any day. That's for sure. Right there. I'm out.
I'm out. He says.
Holy shit.
Wow.
I've seen enough fights at the stadium. We're good.
Wow.
You can get your money's worth.
Oh man, I don't know.
Let's
what
get
else
to Chris Ragle.
I don't know what
Chris
else
Ragle,
to
yeah.
say.
I got nothing.
Wow. If you want to hang out for a few minutes, we'll talk to Chris Ragle, and then we'll talk to you as we close up here.
Yeah, sure. I'm all about it.
All right. Let's get Chris Ragle dialed up on the phone here. We now have Chris Ragle from the Cars Tour. He's the race director and man of many talents during the week, or at least we think they're talents. We're not really sure. We've got Chris Ragle on the line. Chris, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, glad to be on here and glad to be doing our first post-event report with you guys at RACE22. Excited about the year and feel like we kicked it off in a good way.
Absolutely, man. It was a really good weekend. It was good to be back at Southern National Motorsports Park. Great field of cars in both divisions and really good crowd, I thought.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we hadn't been to Southern National for a few years, and I think that reflected on the crowd. And like you said, good field of cars. 27 super late models took time, and 30 late model stocks. So, 10,000 to win both events. So I don't think we could ask any more, especially with the weather and the way it was. So excellent open weekend.
Do you feel like you extremely lucked out on the weather?
I'll tell you what, we did. Dodging everything we had to do on Friday, and then Saturday that had looked good and then looked worse. So but we stuck it out and it worked out well for us. So big thanks to the fans and everybody for coming out. And I know there's a lot of questions in the air and stuff about if we were going to get it in. So big thanks to those fans for having faith in us and coming out and catching a good event.
And we definitely got to give a big shout-out to your boy Mike Bushy, who I think he cleaned the track off about 373 times.
He does. Mike, Mike, I was talking to him on Sunday. We work with Mike on plenty of occasions, touching the cars, but he works just as hard when he's working on the racetrack. At Southern National, they're lucky to have him over that way, and you go to a lot of these places when you tour around, and you can really see who takes care of their places and those who maybe let some of that stuff go. But Michael Diaz and his staff over there at Southern National, Mike Bushy, and all those folks are just great to work with, and they were ready for us, so that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Southern National is always ready to go, and anytime you got Bushy helping, that's a good thing because he's definitely passionate about the sport. But I want to dive right in here. A couple of things just kind of come across. I'm gonna give you the hard questions first.
Yeah, perfect, awesome.
One thing was, a lot of people I seen, talking, just being there at the track, talking to people, man, they were really frustrated with the late start. They thought weather was coming, and they thought you guys, were not taking that seriously. And I don't think that was the case at all. I just think it was just the momentum of the day. But I'll let you tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to say it than starting late like that. I don't know, we were probably 20, 25 minutes late, and that just sucks, and that's not good. It's not good. It's one of those things where, something we usually take pride on, and that we're usually pretty good at, and, but, like I said, like I tell everybody, and it's no secret, from our standpoint, this event that we do every year, going back to last year, even with Tri-County and then this event here, this event that we do is our hardest event that we do all season. It'll be harder than the Old North State Nationals paying $30,000 to win later on in the year. This race here is the hardest event logistically because you're taking a lot of new competitors in both divisions. People, majority of the time, there's a lot of folks that's never raced with us. We've always got some new staff folks, and everybody's kind of got that off-season mentality, and then you throw weather in that, and a 3 o'clock start when we usually have all day. All the other 10 or 11 events we start at 7 o'clock, 7:30. Right. So this is the hardest event logistically for us to pull off. So. It's just tough, So it's something that we have to get better on, and that we usually are pretty good on, and it's definitely not a thing of being serious or not. But it is tough for us. But yeah, that's a big pet peeve of mine personally, and I think as a series we like to be punctual, and we just weren't. So we've got to get better at that, and we will.
All right. Next hard question is, some people feel like there was some inconsistency in the way that you guys called the spin out late in the race with Mason Diaz and Preston Peltier. Take us through the process of what you guys saw and what made you decide not to penalize Peltier.
Well, it's like I tell these guys, and we talk about it. Anytime there's an incident on the racetrack or a yellow flag for contact or anything like that, the race, can be basically ran its entirety without me being involved. I guess we've got the competition yellows with 40 laps now, but if you take those out of it, the race can be ran up until those points without me being involved at all. Once there's an incident, then it forces me to the competitors put me in a position to make a call. So that was an incident that, when I first initially saw it right off, naked eye and stuff, watching it, that I thought the 33 did dump him. I did. And then I went over there and looked at Pit Row TV's the broadcast, and they rewind it back for me, and it looked like the 24 bobbled a little bit in the center exit off of 3 and 4 there, and a 33 was right there on him, or was trying to go inside of him, and whatever it may be. But the 24 I felt like bobbled a little bit, and 33 got into him. I don't feel like it was an on-purpose type thing. I think it was just a racing incident, and if the 24 does a bobble, then he's probably still ahead of him, and go from there. If the 33 is not as close, it doesn't happen. So it's just a judgment call that forced my hand there. That I did the best that I can.
Yeah, gotcha. The three, one thing that I wanted to bring up was, do you guys have a 3 spin or 3 wreck rule? Because it sure didn't seem like it with Tim Hollis and the 61 car and a couple of other guys. Man, they were just wrecking every chance they got.
You know what? It's funny you seem to say that, Lincoln. That's what I'm thinking in the tower. I'm like, that's maybe we need that. Oh gosh, and the worst place, worst thing of it was guys that were just consistently, beating themselves up.
Yep.
For 21st, 22nd spot. So man, that's if there was ever a race that made me think about it, it sure was that one.
Well, I mean, going forward, are you planning to, put something in just to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I hadn't quite thought about that yet.
Strike rule.
It definitely might be something that we look at. Try not to. I try not to make any knee-jerk reactions. It's the first one of the year. So
right.
If it's a consistency, then yeah, we have to adjust and adapt and things like that. But I would say right now for Hickory, then just kind of stick to what we've been doing here.
I know it's fairly typical for you guys, but what makes the super late model race so much more of a demolition derby almost than the late model stocks?
That's once again, I think that's all our own opinions. If I asked you that question, or we asked somebody else, or you had somebody, if you had a driver on here versus me or whatever, it's very selective, very, very opinionated. I don't know. Perhaps sometimes I think there's maybe those people that don't have the experience or don't have aren't quite the level to handle the super late model car that's already in that machine.
Yeah.
A lot of times I feel like that's it. That maybe that it's just a little bit too much for them. The other thing is sometimes some places we go. Southern National being just a crazy fast track that these guys are on are hammering down there on such an edge. Any little slip or any little bit of contact causes an incident. Orange County's the same way. You've been there plenty of times. That place is happens fast, happens quick. You're racing really close and trying to get every inch. And Southern National, everybody's digging for the bottom. So, I don't know, man. Maybe you know that. Maybe you guys can help me out with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that was something that Jared Fryer actually brought up last week before, we went down there and they had so many more cautions. He talked about how he would like for in his career he'd like to race, super late models, but against the late model stock guys because they don't run over top of each other. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, it is, and it is crazy. And Jared is the prime example of knowing both those things, and right. I guess me too is seeing it. I do think our super late models versus our late model stocks are a little bit more incidental. Like I said, I think it's a combination. I think it's power. I think it's being on edge, but a lot of it, I almost wonder if it's the respect. Those guys on late model stock, I feel like there's a little bit more level of respect, give and take, and this and that, and the veterans and the young guys and things like that. I think that could be another factor of it too. But Jared knows that. He's one of those guys that's raced a full season with both of those, and he knows that.
Right, yeah, for sure. He would know better than anybody.
Yep.
Another question I've got for you, and this is something that's come up with fans, asking this question, whether it be on, some of you guys' live stuff or on RACE22, and even this weekend I had some people ask me, I guess they thought I still promoted her, I'm not really sure, but they were asking about an autograph session, man, and I just wonder, why, you guys don't do an autograph session, because it just seems like you have the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, so once again, going back to that logistical thing for this first race, if you look at the Hickory Motor Speedway, our next race for March 23rd, our upcoming MTP Tire 300 Hickory, it's got one.
Okay.
It's a total. Once again, can you imagine if we had a 30 or 45 minute autograph session?
Oh, that would have been bad.
Yeah, that'd have been catastrophic.
You know what I mean?
Catastrophic.
Either we try to. Bubba Pollard had one of the best quotes that. The garage doesn't open at 8 a.m. except unless it's a NASCAR race. Well, we had to open the garage this weekend at 8 a.m. on Saturday because of 3 o'clock start. So,
right.
If we do that opens and, open the garage at 7 a.m., it has to give or take or be added somewhere to get that 3 o'clock start. So, I really feel that, that first one's just always tough, logistically, gets darker quicker. It gets colder. You never know what kind of weather we're going to get. I do think, it is the right call, that we started during the day rather than a night race based on the weather. So, it's something that we do. A lot of time, one of our biggest events, a Throwback 276. We really make a lot of time for that, and really that we want people to see the cars and those legendary drivers and stuff. So. Like I said, it's just a logistical thing, So, yeah, I know Michael was saying that too. He heard some feedbacks from the fans at Southern National, and I hate that that's the only time we're coming out there, and we didn't get one in, but that's just kind of something you have to pass up on so we can get that race going there at 3 o'clock.
Right, understand completely. That makes total sense, and I'm glad you guys have one at Hickory for sure. Anything else, come across your mind, or anything else you want to talk about from Southern National?
Well, I think overall, I think from all aspects, I think it was a good weekend. 2 great finishes at the end of the day. While there's always things like I said, being on time and some of the cautions, and we had the red flag, with Brandon Willard, and just give everybody an update there with our flagman Brandon Willard. He's back. Glad to see him back. That was a scary moment for sure. But he's back 100%. He'll be at Hickory. So I hope everybody comes and shakes his hand and tell him not to scare the hell out of us again like he did. So, yeah, I think overall it was a good weekend, something to build on. It was cool seeing Brandon Pierce get his first win, and obviously Bubba doing what he does. He doesn't race with us often, and is not gonna run the full schedule or anything like that. But I think when you look towards championship points on the late model stocks, you got Brandon as Pierce as an early leader, but Josh being second, heading to Hickory, could set a precedent for early points. I mean, you guys know that we only run 11 points races, so you have to minimize your bad events. So and then on the super side, Bubba's probably not going to run them all. You got Jared Fryer that had a good run, and Brandon Setzer that's up there. So I think it's a great start to the year, and a lot to look forward to for Hickory.
Yeah, I think Hickory makes things really interesting, especially Brandon Pierce. He was, here with us last week before his big win this weekend, and he absolutely hates Hickory. So, he's going to have to find a way to put himself in a good position there to keep his points deal going. And it should be interesting. Josh is always good there. And, I mean, there's a host of guys that will probably enter that race that are locals or semi-locals to Hickory that will be in the mix. So Hickory is shaping up to be a really good race.
Yeah, no, it is cool, especially like I said on this Touring 12, we had them fill out sheets. What's your favorite track? And about half the Touring 12 said Orange County, so we got that one right after that. But Josh Berry definitely put Hickory. So, yeah, so I think these guys, and if you look at the stats on Car Store Digest, they'll show that Josh has been the guy to beat there. But like you said, we've always get some local guys like Austin McDaniel has great stats there, so hopefully we'll see him. And then, and two, like I said, it's our second race for the Supers. We've never went there this early in the year, so on the late model stock side, guys won't have but one weekend of to get on that track, and usually the Supers have the Easter Bunny and things like that to be there at. So it's going to be interesting to see. What kind of field and what kind of race we got here at Hickory here in a couple weeks.
Chris, give us a lead in. Is there as far as rules wise, you guys have kind of taken the forefront on a lot of that stuff after post week 1. Do you feel like you're still headed in a good path? Do you see things maybe we need to do different? And any update? Think it was kind of a shortened weekend, not with as much practice as normal or whatever with the weather delays and things. So from a rules perspective, you still think we're on track heading the right way, or?
Yeah, I mean there's a couple. I feel like our motor packages and stuff like that. We had all three. We had on the late model stock. You had a Kowalski, enforcer there. Built enforcer was first. Josh Harrington was second enforcer, and then a Ford with Deke was third. So felt like there was pretty good parity. We went pretty in depth on the tech. It's $10,000 check, so
sure.
Got to go get a little bit in there. For as far as the super side, once again, I know it was a McGinnigill and Jared's. Preston Peltier had Progressive, and then it was a Hamner and Bubba. So it was excellent to see those two different parodies in both divisions. A couple things. One thing is, it's probably like I said. I don't mind stepping up and saying, we did the knockout qualifying at Southern National. It's something that I like, and some people don't like. Some competitors do like, some don't. It really doesn't work if you don't have a pit wall. It's great for a place like Concord or South Boston or Myrtle Beach. Hickory was going to be knockout qualifying. It will not be, just because while we have done that before, it's just more ideal to do when you have a pit wall and a little bit more space. To go back to single car qualifying. Why, so we're always trying to adjust. We haven't really put a lot of schedule and things like that out there, so we feel like that's a small little adjustment that we can, without changing the whole thing or being a last minute game changer that we will do. So those are the couple of things that I guess rules wise and things like that will adjust from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good plan. I think the knockout qualifying is interesting. I don't know whether I like it or not. That was the first time I'd seen it, so I don't really have an opinion formed yet, but I do think I could see where that could be a whole lot more beneficial behind a pit wall. So all right, man, I guess that'll do it for this conversation for this week. We'll talk to you after Hickory, and
appreciate you coming on.
We're definitely looking forward to Hickory. It's always a great race, and definitely expect the Cars Tour to put on a great show.
Yeah, well, once again, I appreciate everything you guys do. Y'all had full force there at Southern National, so appreciate all your coverage. And I know y'all hear a lot of stuff about the tour. Well, we hear a lot of stuff about you guys, so I know people really appreciate and really get into seeing those stats and seeing some of those things that you guys do, and we appreciate that, and I know a lot of the fans do too as well. So appreciate everything you guys do for the Cars Tour and for the competitors.
Well, hopefully not everything they said was bad.
No. It was a positive deal. It was all positive for sure. So people really like to get that stat, like that information, and be talked about. And I think that's probably one of the long lost things in short track racing is getting that information, those statistics and stuff like that. That people like to feel like they know what they're talking about when they're sitting in the stands drinking a beer watching a Cars Tour race.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. All right, man. Have a good night. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate Chris Ragle jumping on with us. He's going to be giving us the Cars Tour, post-race report from every Cars Tour race this year. Really good race, and I think Chris, really told us, a lot of the inside there, of what goes on for them, with all the stuff from this past weekend, and I appreciate him being, so candid, about everything.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Cars Tour's we've said it before, but the Cars Tour's the best thing going
right now.
I mean,
for sure.
And hopefully some of these other racetracks will have really good seasons this year. I know everybody, Kevin Piercy included, I know everybody's working really hard on trying to make things better. Whether that's from a competitor standpoint or fan standpoint. And I think they're all searching. I think that's the one thing I've learned from having Darren and Kevin on here. They're all searching for what to do about fans.
Right.
And what do? What's the answer, Roger?
Listen to them.
Well, if you don't have any, you can't listen to them.
Yeah, but they need. My personal opinion is I think they need to work a little bit with the racer, trying to close those relationships up, right? Get their arms around that more. Sure. I think they need to have I don't want to say a better relationship like kissing their hind end, but
sure.
I think there's got to be a more give and take deal where sometimes the racetrack has to lose and sometimes the racer has to lose, just like sometimes I have to lose in here. I mean, it's just kind of the way it works, and I'd like to see them put a plan together to give the fan something. If you could show the fan something that you're going to give them that is exciting, like the last lap of that Cars Tour race,
right?
You could spend some mileage off that.
But do you think the last lap of that Cars Tour race is enough to make somebody who's not a race fan?
Right, 2 seconds after it was 5 minutes after it was over. What I text you? Same thing. I text you the same thing, and you clarified it right. The whole rest of the race wasn't great. The last 2 laps was the greatest thing ever, right? So I think you got to try to spin that to get people to come more often. But if you're not spinning it at all,
sure,
nobody comes.
Sure, I think one thing from talking to Kevin, I think he really wants to try to dive more into social media. I just don't think he knows where to start.
Well, I'm interested to know. I think things have to change by, first of all, things coming to the forefront and people gathering real facts. Right, we can't make people people will always have deep-rooted things that they don't like Kevin for this reason, or they don't like me, or they don't like you, or hell, even some people don't like Doc. You know, I mean, it's just what my opinion is going to be part of the deal. But I find it, I applaud him. I don't think I would say this. I applaud him for coming on here and being as candid as he was. That's the most candid Kevin Piercy that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And I think, how do you not respect that?
Right. And I think he came, open to talk about anything. Like when, a lot of our guests, we get in here and it takes 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour to warm them up. He was ready to go from the drop of the green flag.
How do you not kind of, for people that hate on him, and I've dogged on him a couple times. The difference is I dog him right to his face. When I'm mad at him, we have that relationship, and I respected that tonight a little bit. I gained some more leverage that here's a guy that's trying to put together something for the grassroots racer. He knows who his market is. I think he knows who his racer is.
Right.
That's why he took the stance on the spindle that he's taking. Mm-hmm. He's going to try to protect that person.
Absolutely.
He's probably going to sacrifice that opportunity of having 40 cars because he's going to protect the 15.
Right.
Right. He's going to protect his product, but it's why he's still in business, and half of the racetracks that came around when he was in business are not anymore.
Right, sure. I mean, he's still there, and that's more than you can say for a lot of people.
Right. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that hate on him, but I think he's doing a great job, and I actually challenge those people that are hating on him, including me. It's something a role that I've taken to, reach out to them and see what they think about your ideas. What's the worst thing that they can tell you is, no, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? I've been called way worse today.
By me?
Here in the last 5 minutes. So I just mean, I just mean, like, I think he seems to be more open to ideas than I think anybody thought, right? Like, that was the biggest takeaway that I had from it, was he's trying things. He wants to tell you some of the things that he's trying. Maybe they're not as big as what a lot of us would like them to be, but he's doing it.
Yeah, I tell you, the one thing I get out of this is, man, I love RACE22, and I like this radio show. Man, I wish I was promoting races. Man.
Yeah, but you've said every one of these things multiple times over and over again, right? I mean, so why don't you?
I don't know.
Why are you not?
They ain't got no money,
Oh, that's what it is. It's money.
The money's the holdup.
You're so full of crap. You are so full of it.
Have you seen the car I drive?
Have you seen the thing I'm driving?
Yeah, it's like brand new, pristine. Okay?
It's a van,
It may be.
It's a minivan.
It may be, okay?
It's a black minivan.
What brand is it?
I couldn't Ford. It is a Ford.
Ford Transit, I think.
Yeah, it's a Ford.
Something like that. I mean, you might as well stick a Mercedes symbol on there as good
it's
as that thing
Ford.
looks.
He even said it.
Yeah, I don't
Swagalicious
care
over
what
here.
he
Gave it up.
Swagalicious.
I wish you guys could see
That's his new nickname.
Yeah.
Swagalicious.
I wish you guys. He's got some great.
Hey,
swag
do we have
on it.
hats for sale too?
Yeah,
Nathan?
we need it. Well, pub your stuff. He's got swag
Believe it
for
or
days.
not, we don't have hats for sale yet. They're just strictly for my crew.
Yeah, but they can pre-order probably, can't they? They can send you a message and pre-order. Yeah.
I mean, if anybody would like hats or something like that, we're more than open to having them made and, having them available.
Yeah.
Currently, though, we just have our shirts.
Where can they get them?
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, mostly we're just doing sales throughout, like autograph sessions, things like that, throughout, fans.
You need to put them on
stands.
Facebook and sell them.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
You got a Facebook fan page?
I don't. It's just my personal.
Okay, give it out there. Give it up.
It's just Nathan Lineback. That's it. My Instagram's my big place for y'all can reach me. Rule Hall Redneck. That's what it is.
Yes.
Amen.
Hold on. Let's spell that so that people can get it right.
Rule, R-U-R-A-L, Redneck. Rule Hall Redneck. Rule Hall. So H-A-L-L. Well, I'm thinking underscores too. I'm having to go back to it like underscore. Yeah, that one might
just
be
look him up by name, not username. Okay.
Well, it's still Nathan Lineback either way.
Rural Hall.
Well, I've gotten a lot of nicknames throughout, basketball and junk like that. Daytona is another big one. I get yelled at, yeah. Like I got one of my basketball buddies. They'll yell at me like that. So I'm like, I get 20 nicknames. I'm going, yeah, I think that's one of them.
Swagalicious should probably stick.
That's Roger's doing right there.
That should be on your next shirt.
Right, Swagalicious.
I'm all
We're giving
about
it away
yeah.
here for free.
I'm telling you.
I know.
But we'll haul redneck, see it.
But you're not getting a shirt for free.
I know.
It's
Okay.
It's $12 for you.
He's not getting a bumper for free.
I'm gonna have to start learning how to make them on my own at this point in the game. You know.
Nah, your grandparents like to come in here and give me a hard
yeah, they
time.
do.
They're good people.
I'll keep sending them.
Yeah,
you
send your grandma.
Yeah.
She's a great lady.
Dylan Hauser said y'all should have put the Instagram on the T-shirts.
Yeah.
I think we put my Twitter. I'm not sure because I know Dylan, had to look at the prints and everything before they printed them. I think we put my Twitter on there, like Chasing Nathan Racing or something like that. I'm thinking that's the only one we have on there.
You got a website or anything?
Not currently, no.
Man,
I'm behind the 8 ball on this, man.
You got no website.
He's been too busy working on his car to miss
I know.
that stuff.
I'm always in the shop pretty much anymore.
Well, I mean, after being on this show, you're a superstar. So
I
you
know.
need all this stuff
Yeah,
in line.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
your stock has really gone up.
Yeah,
but
there's
really,
4 people listening.
Currently, yeah. Well, Kevin Piercy was the big one. They were like Kevin Piercy.
Nah, they weren't
there.
listening to him either. Don't worry. It didn't have nothing to do with that.
Oh man.
Nah, but I mean, currently though, if anybody would be open to buying shirts or something like that, hit us up at the racetrack. We'll be there the 16th in every Big Ten race,
Hit
as
you up
well
on
as
social.
fall ball. Yeah, as well as fall brawl. We're definitely looking to sell them. They're $12 a piece currently. Unless little kids, things like that, we'll work that out. Because I let little kids do sit in the cars and things like that. But little kids come into play, we'll work that out at a later date. So. But to adults, they're $12 a piece. We have blue, black. Currently, we did have some pink, but my mother took those all, so they're currently unavailable. So,
but they're reordering. They're reordering pink. So
they're
message
restocking.
them.
They're restocking.
Message them for your pink.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll.
Oh, don't
be
worry.
enough.
My dad just sent me a text. I'm like, yeah, this will be good.
Yeah.
Because I know he's listening tonight too. I know him. He's like, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. No, you weren't here. I didn't know.
I'm glad you came.
Like I didn't get the tap on the shoulder. Hey,
Right.
that ain't no go on that one. All right.
This is awesome.
Wow.
This quite possibly could go viral right here.
Yeah, I'm telling
This is
you,
our
man.
biggest shot.
Wow.
You're just gonna have to have me every week. Then. I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
Promote PRW up here, man.
Well, I mean, since Corey leaves before we get done,
I know,
maybe
all
you
the
just have to
entertainment.
take his spot.
I can. I'm open to anything,
Corey.
man.
Hard on Corey.
I love to give Corey a hard time.
Hard on.
He
him.
don't know how to handle it.
Also, though, I do want to say,
guy, Corey.
also want to say a big shout out to Roberts Oxygen Company. They're one of our sponsors on board this year. They came on fairly late, but they're on board with us for the 2019 season, as well as Foothills Times Magazine and Foothills Times TV. They're on board as well, so we're super excited to have both of those on board with us. And we're still open to any other sponsors willing to talk with us and work out a deal. But I'm just none of those deals in the past have worked out for us the way that we would like. But we're definitely open to sponsor deals as well.
Well, after tonight, you'll have them lining up, man.
Hey, I'm hoping to. We're looking.
Probably have $100,000 side.
We're looking
t-shirt
for as
hustle.
many as we can get because
He's selling his T-shirts too cheap. Though.
Yeah, I agree,
Well-
but we couldn't get to him
He's
quick
looking
enough.
I know.
for volume, man. He's going to sell volume.
Well,
you gotta sell high until you get
Well,
volume
see,
sales.
I'm Mr.
Then you can
Nobody
go
over
down.
here, so I mean, we'll make $1 and call it good. You know what I'm saying?
That's about all you're making.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. Hey, if I can get my shirts out there, a better promotional deal for me. So I'll work with it, as little as I can get.
I predict there's
go
going to
from
be
there.
a fan section
You know what
for
I
you
think
at
you
Hickory
need?
this year.
I think you
Doc
need.
might be in it.
I think
You never know.
T-shirt gun.
T-shirt. I was open to that.
Yeah.
I really am.
Like,
well, nobody
we're
does
trying-
that at Hickory.
Listen,
No,
what
they
I'm
don't.
telling, we're giving you
No.
gold here.
Like,
There's
really?
4 people listening, and we're giving you gold.
Hey, that's fine.
You should have a T-shirt gun, and you should be launching them things anytime.
Yeah.
Because I mean, right? Like it even
Nobody does
turn
that.
into a game against Kevin. Right, like when Kevin's not around, just
Yeah,
launch the
shoot him
thing
up
off,
there. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and then go back down, and he's going to be like,
Like
what the-
autograph session.
Just do it in the middle of the race. Just start
Just-
shooting
Yeah.
them up.
right? Like, no, I think that's a great idea. I get sad that people don't do that. that used to happen a lot. That was like a big thing.
Well, Hickory, I've never seen them do anything like that, really.
The
as
Ream
far as
guys used
t-shirt
to do it.
giveaways
Remember Ramos and them guys on the Reams deal? They had one of them, and they'd launch them off all the time. That was a big deal. I thought that was cool.
They usually shoot them off at the stadium. I don't know where you're getting at that idea.
Yeah,
Ladies Auxiliary and everything.
Right. We got to wrap this party up. This weekend coming up, got a lot of racing. So if you love short track racing like we do, and you wouldn't be listening if you didn't, you should be at a short track this weekend. Myrtle Beach is in action this weekend with the modifieds.
A lot of good ones.
South Boston has their opener. Hickory has their opener.
If you like to hear me
Greenville
ramble,
Pickens.
come to Hickory.
Just
talk to me during the autograph session. We'll be good.
Greenville Pickens is back running this weekend. We'll see how their combined classes go. That should be.
This is going to be an interesting one for me because this is really the first real weekend of everybody all at one time.
Yeah,
and we're gonna. I
don't know if it's everybody, but it's a lot more.
Yeah,
you know,
but I think we're gonna get more numbers of how many truly. You know, we've been saying about how much better we think this is getting, and the numbers are proving that it's getting better. And I think we're gonna be able to see truly how many people. You know, we're not the Cars Tour race is gonna take away from Hickory.
Right.
Now almost everybody's kind of gonna try to do their thing. Yeah, and I think this is gonna be more consistent of what we're gonna get moving forward.
Just so you know, Nathan, Thomas Bean said that Piercy has one of those guns, so you can go steal it.
Oh, yeah.
Start shooting them up into the stands.
See, I don't know why nobody's thought of this. I'm sitting up here getting gold from Roger, and I'm like, it's working.
Yeah, you've heard of fool's gold, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got a lot of that today.
Plenty. Yeah. I've heard plenty of it.
I agree.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of RACE22 Radio. We'll be back. We got special guest next Monday. We're going to have Michael and Lee Falk on. Should be some incredible stories coming from those guys. So we got them on Monday, and we'll be back then. Doc, take us to the house, buddy.
Hello? I must be going. I cannot.
Well, that'll wrap up tonight's show. I want to thank everybody for listening to RACE22 Radio. Keep us logged on to race22.com for coverage of all your favorite late model stock car racing action, videos, podcasts, and much, much more. We'll be back broadcasting live around the globe next Monday at 6 p.m. from right here at Performance Center Racing Warehouse in beautiful Statesville, North Carolina. Until then, we'll see you at the races. RACE22 Radio is a presentation of RACE22 Productions.
Telling you, I must be away.